streets, that's my whole gospel. Crash and burn, gonna learn, die on this hill. Head first, it's a curse, going in for the kill. Rise up, lock in, man, it's go time. By the one-way ticket to my own grind. Feeling primitive, in it just to win it big. Don't want a little bit, get it when I flip the switch. I like the feeling when I fucking win. I wanna do that shit again and again and again. I have one speed, no brakes, full send. You know a secret swim, all the pressure is a friend. I'm attacking, attracting the death, and I'ma make it happen. I'm the captain, I'm steering the shit straight into the madness. Like a canvas, I'm painting the vision, never going back. And I just wanna fucking ball, push until I got it all. I feel the surge of adrenaline. Come on, I feel the blood pumping yet again. I feel the drive, I just wanna win. I feel the current wind coursing through my fucking skin. I'm locked in, maxed out, no plan B. I push the chips to the middle, that's everything. Risk it all for the person that I wanna be. Won't stop, that's the version that I'm gonna be. I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to feed. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Ooh, it's cold. It's really cold. Holy smokes. It's been like this all day, freezing. Temperature, it just continues to go down. What is going on in the world? Everything's just been like the upside down lately. And it still continues to be the upside down. And I'm telling you, something happened and we're living in a time that it's like everything's just opposite. What's good is bad and what's bad is good. I don't know where time frame I'm in. I feel confused and lost, but I'm here on the show. It's on a Saturday. I usually take the weekend off, but I decided I needed to come on here because we got some inclement weather coming our way here in my neighborhood where I live. We're anticipating about 2 feet of snow. Yeah, just say 2 feet. Yeah, 2 feet. About anywhere between 20 to 24 inches of snow. Um, pretty pretty good amount of snow. Um, can we handle it? Yeah. Here in the Northeast, we can handle that. I mean, it's not like Russia that got all that snow, which I will feature in one of the videos on tonight's show. But let's just get right to it. I got a little something something for you guys, and we're going to start off with how I left the show yesterday with Melody King. So let's go jump right to her and let's watch and listen.
With this winter storm, I know in your mind, I know for sure for me, I have been wondering, is this geoengineered? Is this manufactured? Did they create this storm? And more as I look around, I just looking up at the sky, the clouds that I've seen, not just the streaks, but then with the lines that'll be all crisscrossing all throughout the country in the sky. And then suddenly you'll have these miles long clouds, things that we've never seen before, huge things.
All right, Melody, this is the first stop I'm going to do for you, and I promise I won't do it anymore. Um, Talking about those streaks, right? I actually have a photo that I took from this morning, and I'm going to upload it on here. And I want you guys to see this for yourselves. And you tell me if this is normal or not. It was one of the streaks that she was just talking about. Let me upload it here. It's only going to take me a moment. Technology is super, super fast. You can get things done fast. If I could get this shit going. Here it is. And it's uploaded here first. Let me see. Upload's taking too long. Oh, Lord. Of course, it's not me. It's technology that's always slows me down. But it's been like that recently. Here we go. Let's see if I could get it up. No, it's not letting me pull it up. I truly wonder why. Okay, I guess let me see if I have to do this all over again. Give me a moment. I really want to put this picture up because it's in reference to the story that we're talking about. And of course, they're going to not let me bring that story up here or that picture that I'm trying to upload because I have it on my phone. See, it's not letting me. What the frick is going on here? Huh. It's saying it might be a connect. There's no connection issue. What the hell is they talking about? They're doing so much changes like upload updates on the phones and stuff, and it's just really messing up everything. I got to the point that all the uploads that they're putting up is I'm kind of running out of space on my memory because of their uploads. Here we go. Now I'm going to show you this picture once it uploads, and you're going to see this streak, and it's a chemtrail, but it's a really long one. And it was early in the morning where you could see it looks pink because of the sun that's rising up. from the east, and it's showing onto the chemtrail. If it ever uploads, I could show you guys. Try to depend on technology, and technology is like the slowest shit sometimes. And I think they do it on purpose. You know, everything's on purpose. Let me get rid of that. But how everyone doing this weekend? I know a lot of us are under this weather threat that's coming towards us. For some reason, it's taking its sweet ass time. Of course, while I want to show something, it's going to take its sweet time. There we go. Now it's uploaded. Okay, let me show you guys this picture real quick. Let me take out Melody King for a second. Now, this is a picture. Let me see if I can make myself down here. Okay, this is a picture I took this morning. What in this picture does not look normal? You see that big line that's just, and you can see the chemtrails, because this is not normal clouds. These are not clouds. Everything that you see that's pink above is not clouds. That's all the spraying that they did this morning. And you can see the blue skies because there was no clouds in the sky. Like, it was clear. We just had a front pass through, like it dropped some snow, but it was clear sky this morning. And when I was driving, all I would see is these chemtrails, these lines all over. And then down in the bottom, you see it's like more like cluttered, and it has like, it's more pink. All that is like the spray that they put up in the atmosphere. And that's what she's talking about. That's what Melody King is talking about. Let's bring it back over here to me, and let's bring up Melody King, and let's continue listening. But that's what I experienced here in Connecticut. And Connecticut has been dealing with a lot of spraying. Oh my God. I was like, out of all the days of the year, I've never seen so much spray as they've been spraying for the past 2 days. Like, it's been so wild. And the fact that I believe this is like geoengineered, kind of like weather wars that we're going through, it's real. And the fact that the government is like hush about it because they don't want you to look up or question what's that line in the sky? That's not normal. Shut up, you're not supposed to talk about that. Like, are you kidding me? Let's continue on with Melody King.
And now we have this winter storm just magically appearing. But walk with me through this, because it's not a conspiracy theory by any stretch. This is reality.
Yo, what's up,
They
Albie?
are manipulating the weather. They are geoengineering weather. This is a known thing. I'm going to show you more about it, but let's play this clip.
Trump is in. Why do we still see these lines in the sky? Who run? Let's do this real quick. If China was dropping chemicals on America, would that be considered an act of war? Yes or no?
Of course.
Then why are planes dropping chemicals on the people right now and it not be looked at as an act of war by everybody?
Exactly.
We are being poisoned.
Exactly.
100%. And we don't look at that as an act of war. And right there shows you all of our program.
Even deeper than, like, you know, with the lines. This is something that I've been really, like, God's been putting this on my heart, is like, they're blocking out the sun. They're openly trying to block out the sun now. Like, this is why this crazy storm is coming. You know, God willing that it's fake. Let's hope that, you know, it's just some hype meteorologist saying some bullshit.
Graphic.
Because if it's real, it's going to be fucking bad.
Now, I want to play this one.
It is going to be bad.
Now, this is from Good Morning America in 2023.
There are currently 42 cloud seeding projects across the American West, like this one in Utah, where they take planes like this with flares attached. They fly right into the storm and send microscopic particles into the cloud. Particles that act like magnets for water droplets, bonding together until they are heavy enough to fall to the ground as rain or snow. At the University of Colorado, researchers are working on artificial intelligence to deploy cloud seeding drones. And it's not just cloud seeding from the sky. There are hundreds of those things. That shack you see in the foreground is a ground-based cloud seeder. The little flame coming out is sending tiny silver iodide particles up into the sky. When a storm comes through, they go up to 2,000 feet above our head, into the storm, up those mountains, and make more snow than it naturally would. Well, cloud seeding has been helping get every last drop out of some of the driest years on record. This past winter, Mother Nature came through. The Southern Rockies, which feed the Colorado River, got more than 4 times their average snow. But experts say it's still not enough. As much as cloud seeding is a boost or a help, it's not a solution. The main solution is
conservation.
Cloud seeding is most successful in wet years, so this was a huge winter for them. They actually stopped early because Mother Nature was giving up so much. Now, studies have shown that the environmental impacts from the silver iodide, on the current scale, there are no impacts to snow or rain also downstream, so it doesn't impact, the other weather. They do anticipate at least 200 more ground cloud seeders in the future, and the federal government has committed $2.6 million to seeding. Back to you, Gio and Eva.
There's way more than that number that they're talking about, because everyone is seeing them all around the country, everywhere. You go outside, well, maybe not today, but on most days, you can see those clouds, those streaks everywhere. And then it's a daily thing. It's a constant thing that everyone sees. And while we know they've admitted to geoengineering, they admitted to cloud seeding, they're not going to tell us the full story. And of course, there's no harm to it. And I'm sure there is someone out there who believes that because they trust the government. They trust what they tell us. They trust them. That there's nothing going on here, folks. That we need this. Why don't they just leave God's creation alone? But no, of course they're not. They engineer problems. They create problems. And then they, in order to get rich on both sides, by creating the problem, they get rich. And by providing a solution to the problem, they get rich. And then also pushing us towards their agenda. Oh, it's the environment. We're hurting the environment. When most of these people, they are the ones hurting the environment. Their yachts, their planes, the things that they're doing, the chemicals that their companies are leaching into our water. I mean, the list goes on and on. You and I are just trying to go back and forth to work, take care of our kids, and live our lives. But no,
hey, what's up, Chloe?
Deception and manipulation.
I went to get a water.
Everything.
Drink water.
This is how they keep us dumbed down. I was seeing for a while. There was this fog that was, especially on the West Coast, coming out. People were seeing it. They were collecting it, and then they were melting it down, looking into, they would melt it down, and it was like this goo, almost like slime. Mm-hmm. It's just weird things that are going on that we know has been engineered. When I tell you guys, everything, I mean, from top to bottom, whether it's the fraud that's been exposed in Minnesota and around the country, digital ID, the UK turning against Christians, and like people were not allowed to do this March for Jesus. They were arrested and stopped, but they were allowing for Muslims to pray in the streets. And in fact, they had a big parade today that they were allowed to do, but you're not allowed to march for Jesus. We are seeing an attack on Christianity. We are seeing an attack on the West. We're seeing how, what they want to do as far as our carbon intake and input. That means how much food you can eat. They're bioengineering. Bill Gates is leading the way, bioengineering meat, then also engineering ticks that make you allergic to meat so that you can only eat the bioengineered safe stuff. That's already contracted to go into our schools, prisons, hospitals, and airlines, and some restaurants, which they don't have to tell you or label this food. I mean, they are now, Congress just passed a legislation where there is a government controlled shut off in your car. I got to dig more into it, but understand, everything is about control. Everything is to make us worn out, tired, and everything is to hide the truth from us. Hide the truth of what God has said and what time we are living in. But it was always supposed to get here. But this is actually someone in one of these planes.
Let's see some class. Look at this. So I flip this to L2, and then I bring this to 1, and fire. Now look at that. 5, fire. 6, 8, fire. 9, fire. Okay, vertical. Okay. Let's see some class. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, this is to help us because they care so much about us. They care so much about the weather. Are you seeing what they're doing to farmers around the country? Are you seeing what these AI data centers are doing to people who live near them? I mean, they're also taking land from people using eminent domain so they could build these huge data centers that we don't need, we'd have no need for, but they're doing it anyway. And we all know why, because digital ID is going to house our entire lives. That is the goal. That is the end goal. If you don't know, by 2030, they say there will be no more cell phones, that everything will go to the Neuralink in your head, which they are mass implanting this year, Elon Musk said. That's what it's for. It is so that they can build their AI God, as Elon Musk said, and summon the demons, as he also said. We've told stories about how God created us, but we're creating God. This is what they want. Now take a look. It says a 5 Emmy award-winning journalist, Cheryl Atkinson, reporting on cloud seeding taking place nationwide in America. So this is a short little clip of this.
A 1972 federal weather modification law runs on an honor system, just paperwork, no verification. In most states, no permits, no audits, no limits. Most anyone can control the weather for profit, altering other people's rainfall or snow without ever asking permission.
No one's denying that the technology exists and that it's even being used, but who is using it, for what purposes, or to protect the earth from the effects of the sun, and to think that maybe we know better, but our sustainable place to live. And I mean, I don't agree with that. And maybe your neighbor does or doesn't. However, is this something that we should trust other men with to influence the landscape that we get to raise our kids in?
A 1972 federal weather modification.
Protect the earth from the sun, what God created. What did I tell you? They've lied to us about everything. If you don't understand, we live on biblical earth, not flat earth, biblical earth, which God says is fixed and immovable and sits on pillars. This is in God's word. To believe anything else that they are talking about is to believe in evolution, is to believe in the Big Bang, is to believe that God did not create the world, because that's what it comes from. Not a space agency. NASA is part of the deception. The Bible says that they came up with this whole thing that we're a globe and spinning and all that. There's so much evidence. Now, I have presented some of it. I probably have to do more to show you guys if you don't want to believe it. But if either the Bible is true or it's not. Either this is what God said or he didn't. He said that above there was a firmament that keeps the waters, that separates the waters from above and the waters from below. And then he opened the windows of the firmament in order to let down the rain during the great flood. And that above the firmament are the heavens. There are 7 to be exact, which are listed in the book of Enoch, which is referenced throughout the Bible. That's it. That is what God's creation is. Not all this space and things that they're talking about. We don't need protection from the sun. We need protection from them. They are trying to destroy God's creation. I've shown you.
Chloe, you
I've
still
shown
here?
you the half of the mountains that they
Let
say
me
are
know if you're
mountains
still
are
here.
petrified giants. You can literally see their faces. They admit this. Petrified animals all around the world. The list goes on. And if this is new to you, these are facts. I mean, just a quick look, you will find and see these things. They even put them in the movies. They put it in Moana, where this giant woke up and it was a woman, but it's actually like, this is a known thing. The pictures don't lie. The things that we are seeing are not lying. The Bible says that giants walk the earth before the flood and after, meaning they still exist. Meaning, but do you know how they came about? These are demonic beings. These are not humans. They are demonic beings, starting with Nimrod. They are, it says the angels of God, the fallen angels, basically took the daughters of men. They had lust and took daughters of men and created Nephilim. Those are the giants that walk the earth. And then depending on which line they were or how it developed, some were as tall as 400 feet tall. Some would just be as tall as 10 feet. It just depends. But they were wicked and they were evil. And they said in the last days, it will be like the days of before the flood, before Noah. And we are seeing these things, but these demonic beings can also shapeshift. This is in the Bible. I don't know what else to tell you. So when I tell you that everything is designed so that we do not look up, do not look at God's creation to hide the sky, when specifically in the last days, we are to look for signs. Jesus commanded us in Luke 21 to look at the sun, the moon, and the stars, to look up, to actually keep our looking up for signs of his return. Why do you think they're doing all this geoengineering and trying to hide the sun? And now we need protection from God's creation. Absolutely not.
Most of the cloud seeding programs are happening from the Colorado Rockies all the way west. When a storm is coming in, these pilots, they get hired and they make $750 an hour.
I had to pause for a second. I don't know why the internet just like plucked out for a second. So let me back it up a little bit because this was important for us to listen to. So give me 1 second. Let me put it a little bit more back. But Chloe, I hope you're doing good out where you're at. I know you're supposed to be getting ice in your area. So let me know how things are over there. You should be in the snow part. So hopefully everything's okay for right now. It might be starting for you. I'm not sure, but we'll find out because I got more reports. So we'll dabble into that in a moment after Melody King here.
Most of the cloud seeding programs are happening from the Colorado Rockies all the way west. When a storm is coming in, these pilots, they get hired and they make $750 an hour to do this. They'll go up right before a storm is coming in and there's a big band of moisture, and you can only do cloud seeding when there's some kind of storm coming in. If you just go out there and cloud seeding and there's no moisture, there's no particulate matter out there, there's no clouds, it's not going to do anything. So they release the silver iodide as well as a chaff. And it's like a mill chaff. It's a aluminum coated glass, unfortunately, which they can watch through satellite to see if their cloud seeding was hitting the mark or not. And what it does is it essentially creates 5 to 15% more water out of a storm. And that is for the irrigation districts. That's for the power companies. But it comes at an expense, because what we're seeing is there's certain areas, for instance, in Central California, where the storm's coming in, and sometimes they do it in the middle of the storm as well, and they're cloud seeding in a certain area over and over and over and over. It's highly localized. It's highly concentrated. So if you're seeing it through flight radar, for instance, over your head, they might have a figure 8 that's kind of an iconic route, but generally when it rains out, it's a little bit up the mountains and a little bit further away, not necessarily right over your head. And so that is what's happening. For a long time, they denied it, saying we don't cloud seed, safe. No, actually, it has not been proven safe. In fact, we know it's not safe. And by the way, those cloud seeding projects and programs, last year they announced like a 200% increase over the next few years of cloud seeding.
They do it just when weather is coming in. No, it's a sunny, bright day. There is no weather forecasted. There is no rain coming in. And you just see the trails.
It's snowing now.
All up there. So I think there's a difference between cloud seeding and the chemtrails, which I believe there are as well, because I
wonder how much snow you're going to be getting in your area.
On us. There's a lot of research I can go into with this. There's a lot, but this video will be hours long. But I wanna play this real quick. I actually saw this on TikTok, and now this is going out all
We're
over the
being
place.
urged not to
be a
travel on
conspiracy
Sunday.
theorist or nothing, but did y'all notice how the government was talking about that nobody was spending enough money since Christmas and the economy was down? And then next thing you know, we was having a mystery winter storm and everybody had to hurry up and go to the store and buy a bunch of groceries real fast and spend up all the money that they didn't really have to stimulate the economy. Right after the stock market had crashed, then next thing you know, inconveniently, the storm was supposed to be further south. And so they had everybody in the southern parts of Tennessee and everyone buying up everything. And then the storm suddenly moved further north. And so they had everybody north buying stuff. And it's just a
That's how it
coincidence that they
happens.
was complaining about how nobody was spending money. And then that stock market had crashed and everything. And then next thing you know, we was having a winter storm. And then everybody had to buy up everything and all the groceries is sold out. And everybody spent all their money up on a bunch of stuff to prepare for a storm coming. Isn't that funny? I mean, I don't believe in conspiracy theories or anything. I'm just saying, I just thought that was just so funny.
So yeah, leave a comment. Let me know, what do you think? Every day there's something new. There's something new that there's so much to unpack. A lot of times I don't have the time to do it. There's so many things I probably forgot about, some things, because once your eyes are open and you see what is really going on, how dark, how evil things are, you see it in everything. What we learned in school, which McGraw-Hill, the parent company of that, was owned by Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Everything we were taught, all the now we're going back to the moon. We went there in the first place. I played that video for you guys the other day. Like, none of it makes sense. Like, it's just complete nonsense. But we know
they're raising up the
that
totals.
is what it's supposed to be at this time in these last days. So anyway, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell.
That's why I say live your life to the fullest. Thank you, Mary King. Live your life to the fullest. You know, there's going to be all these talks of things happening and what's going to happen. Something happens. But I just got a message here. We got a winter storm warning here in my area. And that is for winter storm warning remains in effect from 3 a.m. Sunday to 6 p.m. Monday. So we're talking about tonight into Monday evening. And what we're expecting, heavy snow is expected. Total snow accumulations between 20 to 24 inches. Whew! Sleet may mix in with snow late Sunday afternoon into Monday. And that's for the southern coast of Connecticut. That sucks. And this is it's gonna be a really hazardous impacts that's going to be happening on the roads. Will become very snow covered, very hazardous. Visibility may drop below quarter mile due to falling snow and blowing snow, because they are expecting winds anywhere between 20 and 30 miles per hour. If you are going to be traveling, please take an extra flashlight, food, and water in your vehicle in case of an emergency. Check local Department of Transportation Information Services for the latest road conditions. Okay, and we also have a gale watch. That's why I tell you 20 to 30 mile per hour winds. We might be getting a blizzard out of this here in Connecticut. It's not 100% set in stone, but we are anticipating winds at 20 to 30 knots and seas 3 to 6 feet. And this is for the Long Island Sound, Port Jefferson, and New Haven East. So, and the Connecticut River. So we're looking at gale winds. Strong winds can cause hazardous seas and could capsize boats and damage the vessels. And there is also going to be reduced visibility, so it's not a good time to take any of your boats out if you're planning on. I don't know who's going to go out there in their boats, but there's a lot of people that still have their boats pretty close to the water or at the waters. Expect conditions to deteriorate starting tonight. but we also have other news here that officials here in Connecticut are urging everyone to avoid travel Sunday as major winter storm is expected to bring anywhere between 20 to 24 inches of snow, potentially leading to a blizzard, near blizzard conditions. You see, I just said that. The heaviest snowfall is predicted for Sunday afternoon and evening, making travel very difficult. Prepare for significant weather events. Okay, so I hope everyone is ready for this. Today's the last day if you're up here in the Northeast to get prepared. From my app here, I'm getting 20 inches of snow on Sunday and another 4 inches on Monday. So 2 feet between Sunday and Monday. That's it's been a while since I had to deal with something like that, and the temperature here right now is freaking cold. It's 13. It was 13 a high today. That was our high temperature, 13 degrees. Right now our temperature is at 8 degrees and it feels like 3 degrees. Winds are coming in from the north at 7, and that temperature we're expected to go all the way down to about 0 tonight. Our feel like temperatures are going to be probably between -15, -18 degrees. Ugh, that sucks, right? Let me check out the radar real quick. See where the snow is. Yeah, you definitely getting snow from what I'm seeing here. Texas, you're gonna start seeing ice accumulations soon. I'm seeing the ice developing around the let's see which areas we're looking at here. San Angelo across to Fort Worth, Dallas. Dallas right now, you guys are seeing ice. Maybe some scattered snow, but ice that's developing around the Dallas area. Oklahoma is getting a good dose of snow. Northern Texas is getting a good dose of snow. Missouri is all snow. Northern portions of and central portions of Arkansas. Actually, it's the southern portions are getting kicked in the ass. Shreveport, pretty soon. Northern Louisiana is going to be experiencing ice conditions. Mississippi, northern Alabama, Tennessee, the whole state of Tennessee, you guys are going to be seeing ice. And this ice is going to be going across to North Carolina and to South Carolina and portions of northern Georgia. Kentucky, southern portions of Kentucky might see ice. Northern portions of Kentucky will see snow. And this snow band is going to be going through southern Illinois into the Ohio Valley. And that's going to progress over to Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, and across to Philadelphia. Washington, D.C. is definitely going to see a lot of snow out of this. Delaware, Jersey, portions of southern Jersey will see accumulation of ice, maybe a 1/4 inch of ice in the backside of the storm. New York is under a state of emergency. Also, Connecticut is under a state of emergency. A lot of these states are under a state of emergency. New York is anticipating also to get about 2 feet of snow. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, all of us in the Northeast will get our ass kicked. We're looking forward to get our ass kicked tomorrow. Hopefully, it's not as bad as they are reporting, but as far as I'm seeing, this is going to be a horrible event. And let's continue on with some of the news that we have here. We're going to go to BP Earthwatch and let's listen in.
Guys, a lot of you watched that long live stream today. It was about 6 hours, I think, maybe 5.5, 6, somewhere right in there. About 7,000 folks watched it. Now, I know sometimes that's boring, but it's keeping it's like keeping your pulse or your pulse of the nation. if you're concerned about what's going on, because if things take back over, guys, we're going to have to be the ones instead of the movie stars moving to Europe. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm glad you guys came over there and saw it. It's all about exposure, what the other side is doing, and how stupid they can be sometimes. Anyway, look at what we're seeing now. The ice is heaviest in our state here in Mississippi, going into western Alabama and south central Tennessee here. This is a mixture. This is snow, and these are storms. And these storms, guys, are going to end up getting compressed, I'm afraid, tomorrow between pressure coming off the Gulf of America and this cold air that's coming down. And believe it or not, with all of this winter weather, we could have severe thunderstorms, possibly tornadoes. But what we're looking at here in our state, and where most of the ice is right now, is coming up out of northeastern Louisiana. This is Shreveport right here, and just south of there, and up through, this is Monroe, coming back over towards Vicksburg, Mississippi, and just north of there around Eagle Lake. I know these places well. I've been here a long time. You're getting ice going all the way up to just south of Memphis now, but Memphis, you're in that mix, so it doesn't really matter. Temperatures are getting cold, and it has hit. And so we are just south of this. We're south of Jackson, Mississippi, raining a few days and all that. And I'm not wishing this on anybody, because that's why I warn folks about it several days ahead of time if I can. But I'm glad that it's not on us right now. It's hard enough to deal with if you got a little animal rescue like we have to keep. It's hard enough to deal keeping yourself and your wife warm, but you got to make sure everybody's warm and everybody's fed and happy. And so I'm not complaining, but which is the thing the Democrats always say when they start off complimenting a conservative project, and then they say, and that means, but they were lying that they liked it. And then they go into some bull crap. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, coming back from Roswell, New Mexico, guys, we got friends there. You got snow. And the temperatures did not seem that extreme from talking to some of my friends there, but there's higher elevation areas and all where it is. Amarillo, Texas went from the freezing rain and ice to snow. Oklahoma City, the same. Wichita, Bentonville, Arkansas, Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, Louisville, Columbus, Charleston. This snow is all the way across this section. Now, you've got the mix still in Nashville, lower Tennessee, southern Tennessee. You've turned to ice. And what is happening, guys, is even though they came in and salt brined a lot of these highways earlier, even down into, like I was talking about earlier, in Oxford, Mississippi, you get this rain coming in, and then you get ice on top of that and snow. Then the brine really they would have to come back, scrape the roads, and redo it. It has a short-term effect. So you don't need to be out on the highways. Now, I want to show you some information from some forward-moving models. And the reason I'm doing that is because we're seeing short-term information here. But I got a feeling that my luck may run out right down in this area before this is said and done. I hope and pray not. I've done everything I can to prepare, make sure everybody's warm, safe, snug, have food. But when the power goes out, it makes that about twice as difficult. Now, but I do have wood and backup for those, but it just makes it a lot harder, especially if you're old like me, and it gets a little harder to get around and get all these things done. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not going to hurt my feelings at all if the ice stays north of us, but I'm afraid it may not. Let's take a look. Now, the WRF model is the same one that we check out a lot of times during hurricane season. And I say it every time, it's a longer range model, and every day and that it extends its forecast out, it becomes less accurate, just like any other model will. But it does it anyway to give you an idea. But now but they're very accurate on short term. And this is a short term WRF model we're going to look at here. Let's play this thing forward. Notice this is how this thing plays out. Again, purple is a mixture, red is ice, and then thunderstorms below it. And I'm going to let it play through, and I'm going to back it up, and we're going to talk about a few pieces of this. Are you paying attention to what just went across Mississippi? I'm going to back it up, guys. Let's take a look. Now, we're talking about Sunday. And it looks like at this point, when we're looking back here, everything's going to drift up, and we got rain here, we got thunderstorms, possibly tornadoes. But as we move back forward, and I mentioned this, I think, yesterday, that there was going to be a last-minute sweep of very cold air across the southeast because of this spinning low-pressure system. So as we go forward, look what's setting up here. And it's a situation, guys, where you think you're out of the hot spot, and you're not watching that last left hook. Let's move this in a little bit further. Watch the ice band. You see that? Sweeping across the entire southeast. Notice it is all the way to the Gulf of America, central Louisiana, south central. Move it forward, look at that. So after we see the tornadoes come in, because again, what's happening, you see this low pressure system, it's pumping warm moisture into the center of the whole system and keeping it warm enough to where it does not go to that. But what happens after you get this rain through this area, after all of the snow and ice, let's back it up. You got all that on top of it. Then you get a little rain to mix it up and get it mushy. And then you have this freeze coming behind it. Back up again. Sunday, look at this, guys. And they're talking about 1 to 2 hours of ice. And that's all it would take to take down light lines. Look at that. It's pretty wide and pretty thick here. That would at least be 2 hours in width of ice coming in behind this rain. Now, the difference between sleet and freezing rain is sleet will bounce off a light line. Freezing rain just clings to it, melts, and adds a weight down. So sleet is actually much safer as far as power outages than freezing rain. But we're not out of it, guys, and that's what I wanted to point out. Again, I would be very happy if it stayed north of us, and I guess that's kind of selfish in a way. But when you've got your hands full, any break you can get makes a big difference. Now it's 5:54 p.m. as we're watching this, and this is live images. Now let's look at the CONUS, or the continental U.S. satellite images. It is 5:55 p.m. Central Time, 40 degrees, real feel 38, and it's dark outside already. But you're looking at an incredibly wide swath of moisture.
Yeah, it's very wide.
1,000 miles wide coming through here.
Wow.
And what's happening, guys, you see the low pressure system that's been setting off in the Pacific, that's pulling some moisture in, but it's still, the engine is still in place here. What does that say?
Wow, it's just pumping moisture in from the Gulf.
That is tropical moisture. In other words, it's coming out of the Pacific tropical convergence zone along the equator, which means it's very warm and moist. Add that to many states getting a little bit of help from some seeding, and we're setting up for a good bit of moisture.
Bad for the ones that get the tornadoes. That's
why they do it. I don't know. I guess they have their reasons. But anyway, regardless, if they never did it, we have a situation here that everyone has to pay attention to. Just as, again, going that extra time stamp or that extra few hours on the model that we looked at, showing that sweep through the deep south, is the main thing that people need to be aware of. We know what's happening everywhere else, and just as it appears to look like we're out of the danger zone, and what I'm talking about is southern Louisiana, through Mississippi, through Mobile, Alabama, through the Florida Panhandle, and a second wave going up through Georgia and the Carolinas. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to draw this out much longer. Just want to show you the infrared. This is where our moisture is, guys. Again, look at Louisiana and Mississippi
that's a lot
here.
of moisture.
And it's setting up a lot of moisture ahead of that sweep of very cold air that's going to turn this to ice. And you can see the rest of the nation. Lake effect snow is very deadly right now. Four Corners, you're starting to get a little bit of break, but there's still some moisture coming off that low pressure system that was spinning off the California coast, right in that area there. We got to deal with this, and we can. You guys stay safe, stay off the highways. If you're south of where the mess is now, you may not even be able to get gas and water and food. I've seen a lot of videos about Walmarts and different stores like that are very low on supplies, extremely low in some cases. Walmart here 2 days ago was out of the propane, the fuel canisters and things like that people use for the lanterns and their little buddy heaters. They were out. People were getting
I got plenty of those.
Anyway, guys, I hope you did. I hope you're safe. And guys, I hope you're not entangled with this. If you're not, but you know someone in the area, please try to call them and contact them. Again, live U.S. power outages, type in poweroutage.us. You'll get there. Remember this morning, Texas was the only state lit up. It's at 49,046 customers that are without power. But now let's look at Louisiana. Again, I mentioned we didn't want to go to yellow, orange, and red, but in Louisiana, we now have 53,048 people out. Let's click on that. And what we're seeing is in DeSoto County, south of Shreveport, guys, coming across the I-20 corridor. See that? And here in East Carroll County, this is the line. That's where the ice is at right now. You may have a few outages, not showing many south of there, 64 Madison County. But again, 1,700 East Carroll. Richland County, 669. Ouachita County, 30,547. Again, my point is that if you know folks in this area, you need to call them now. Think about I-20 coming out of Dallas, skirting across here, going to Vicksburg, Mississippi, Shreveport, Monroe, the other towns here. DeSoto County, again, 9,000. But here, 30,000, Ouachita County. Call the people there. And if you guys are there, I hope you are safe. I hope you're prepared. Make sure that you stay warm and dry, and don't get out on the highways. Even if you don't think you have enough supplies to make it, at least wait till daylight where you can see. And you may not want to do it then. Anyway, guys, this is what we're dealing with, and I want you to keep an eye on it. Of course, your pets, people, pets, plants, pipes, right? In that order. And they all mean a lot. So I appreciate you watching, guys. Check on your people if you're not in these areas. So heads up, be safe.
Yeah, it's just going to be treacherous, very treacherous. Just keep it moving.
When we talk about this storm, we get the ground level view of what we're talking about. So we want to show you what we are talking about from space. Wow. This is what this weather system looks like there. This photo comes from NOAA. That's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And I mean, this really just shows you the gravity we've been talking about, the size of this. We showed you images from Arkansas and from Louisiana. We know that this is impacting so many people across the country. And this really just shows you why.
Yeah, 190 million people under winter weather alerts as of today. And yep, as you said, Jennifer, you can see why that is a large system covering a lot of the South, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast.
That's a very short news report. Let's just keep it moving because that one's a really short one.
You know, outpace the warm air coming in.
I think so. I think so. And I can tell you right now, the Arctic air is having a really hard time with that warm nose down here in the south. We've got our Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell, who's standing by for us now in what could be the heart of some of the worst icing conditions. Joining us from Oxford, Mississippi. Brandy, what are the conditions like for you this morning? I mean, you're really just getting started for the day for us, taking us through the heart of what could be a really tough stretch.
Yeah, this could be a very dangerous situation for the folks here in Oxford and just really this surrounding region. So far, as you can see, we have a white coating, and this isn't snow. This is mostly sleet and then a mix of freezing rain in this area. So they're already busy. They've been clearing the roads in the downtown area and just in this region close to the university, Ole Miss. But you can see this is a road closure sign. And so this is one of two roads the mayor told me they've closed down. And just for an example, while there's sleet on the ground, you can see this is frozen. So there's freezing rain that is coming down already. And at this time, it seems to be we have converted to freezing rain. Most of the morning, if you've come outside, you've likely heard the frozen precipitation coming down, and it sounds like sleet. You can hear it just kind of rustling through the trees and such, but we're just kind of wavering between what's falling. But I want to show you guys an example of why they're seeing these road closures. Take a look at this. This location here, Oxford, they're known for the rolling hills that they have here. Can you imagine once this refreezes or freezes eventually trying to drive down a hill like this? Well, they're not even going to let that happen.
That's
so
not
this
going to
is
happen.
closed off along with another one. I spoke to the mayor. She
That
said
hill is a slip and
they are
slide.
busy trying to make sure the roads are safe, but there are some concerns.
Yeah, you sit your butt down and you slide all the way
We got
down.
busy planning about a week ago when it became inevitable that we would be dealing with some severe
Yeah,
winter
plenty of
weather.
those here in
You
Connecticut.
know, we have lined up
I would not get on
contractors
that
across
road.
the
Hell
northern part
no.
of the state to come in and
We
help
have a
us
few of
if
them.
our power goes out. Made sure we've got an inventory of poles, of electric poles ready to go. We put out 6,000 gallons of brine on City Street yesterday, and our Mississippi Department of Transportation treated all of our surrounding highways. And we're spending the next few days just really trying to get our citizens and the Ole Miss students to prepare for being at home for a few days.
All right. So she told me her main concern right now
How come
will
everybody's
be
just
basically
buying
how
shit?
deceiving it might look out on the roads. If you come out and you just kind of dig your
Girl,
foot
do
in
not.
it, it's kind of a slush right now.
It's
You in
slush,
some
but that's
spots you
gonna
might
get
not really
hard.
see the ice just yet, but with the temperatures steadily going down, whatever is down, it's going to refreeze likely overnight, and then we're going to have that freezing rain really kick into gear in those overnight
Ooh,
hours. So
Mississippi.
likely the situation, the road conditions are going to be even worse tomorrow. Right now, the forecast
That's
is
a
calling
bad
that we could
spot
still
right
see
there.
3/4 of an inch of ice or more. So guys, that part has not really kicked into gear just yet, but I did just get a text from the PIO for Lafayette County, and he told me they are starting to see icing on the trees and such, mostly in the southern part of the county right now. So it is happening, but this is nothing yet. Most of it is still to come, going through Sunday night until the ice storm warning expires for this area. And we're also seeing, not just in the city, but on the state roads, Mississippi Department of Transportation, they have been posting throughout the day. They are still trying to put down different types of things on the roads to try to make sure that they're safe enough. But they've already said for these deeply impacted areas, they are encouraging emergency travel only on those state roads, highways, interstates right now. So hopefully people are hunkering down. And not long ago, we took a quick drive into Mississippi State University, their campus here, and talked to a couple of college students who are basically doing just that. Take a listen.
Oh my gosh, this is like nothing I've ever seen before. We're from Florida, so this is blowing our minds right now.
Yes, our campus looks absolutely gorgeous.
So, like, being from Florida, we have a lot of hurricanes, so this is not unlike that. So we're stocked up, we're good. We're just kind of enjoying it right now while the weather's light, and we'll make sure to like take precautions when needed. I like that.
Yes, and neither of us drive, so we're gonna stay in our dorm and take it all in.
All right, so there you have it. It's kind of like a hurricane for them with the impacts. But guys, look at this, just showing things are starting to freeze over. I'm not sure why we still have a Santa hat up, but it has a
I
nice
still got my Santa
glaze
hat
of
here
ice on it right
until
there.
after
That's
all this
gonna be
craziness
completely
goes
frozen
away.
soon. And even right here, this curb
What she's
I can
doing?
see a nice layer of
Yo,
ice
what are
on
you
that
doing?
already. So this is just the
Girl, don't be
beginning for us
touching
now.
things.
That freezing rain is coming down pretty good
What is she
right now.
doing?
So
Girl, you need to get
the
away
good
from that
news
road.
is that I can give you, it's kind of a
You're gonna
ghost
slip,
town
fall,
here
and
in the
bust your
downtown
ass.
area. We haven't seen a ton of people out on the roads. I think I've seen more people walking than driving. So that's good. It seems to be people are taking it seriously and they're trying to get the roads in, a stable condition here.
Yeah, Brandy, I can see too that the power is still on. You've got some string lights on the home behind you. So, of course, for the message here in Oxford, Mississippi, northern Mississippi, is while you have that power, charge up your phones, make sure you have everything ready to go, because like you said, the worst of this is still ahead of us as we go through tonight. So Brandy, it looks like a nice skating rink behind you, and those hilly conditions, definitely a dangerous
Tonight, that's gonna be a dangerous
situation as
road.
this freezing rain starts to really settle in. We'll be checking back in with you in Oxford, Mississippi in just a bit. Thank you.
Not good at all. That's gonna turn into a slip and slide event tonight. Let's keep it moving.
Dozens of wrecks as well across the area, and that freezing could make that even worse.
Exactly. Let's check in now. Field crew Sam Clementi out in Clarksville. Sam, we're told that you're at a crash site on Trenton Road. How's the backup looking?
Yeah, Megan, this is actually one of the listed trouble sites, one of about 5 that Clarksville police sent out yesterday ahead of the storm, saying Trenton Road between Spring Creek Court, which is just to my left here, is an area they know notoriously this street will have issues. And we literally, right before we went on with you, as Jerry pans it around slowly, we watched as there was a backup congestion, which you can still see there, but that Jeep to the left was off to the right side, and a car was being pulled up by another car because it had died on the hill. And that car that was being pulled smacked into that white Jeep that's now pulled over to the side. That front left axle completely shot. That guy got out of the car, understandably upset. He's okay, but he's upset. He kind of walked away, stormed off, really. But that gentleman in that Jeep and all these, that Jeep right there turning around, those are members of the Clarksville Jeep crew. You can see it on the dash right there. We've done stories about these guys. They come out in these storms in their Jeeps that are meant for these conditions, these type of roads, and they help people get off the roads if they get stuck. Trenton Road,
there's a car there
notoriously
that's
a
stuck. They're
place
gonna
where
probably
people
tow
get
it out.
stuck. We've watched it firsthand in the past 10 minutes pulling
Oh,
up.
that's so cool of
It's
them,
just
though.
been chaos, if I'm being honest.
That's
and
really
ironic
nice of them.
and unfortunate that someone who was here to try and help, the Jeep crew guy, is the one that is now off to the side, can't go anywhere because his car is kaput for the rest
he
of the,
broke his
the
front
snowstorm,
axle.
most likely. I don't know where
He's
the gentleman
fucked.
went, but
I mean, it's
if
not
you
a hard
are
piece
out
to
in Clarksville,
change,
this
but
is an area you
your
just
car is
simply,
disabled.
and that guy almost fell right as we were showing him, simply don't come down
Yeah,
this
it's
way. It's
slippery.
not safe. We're a little concerned about leaving ourselves. The road's not clear or really safe to drive on, even though they're trying to get through. There's a snowplow down there trying to get through, but it's backed up. All that to say, if you're in the area, avoid Trenton Road because
And
we're watching
overnight, that's
accidents
all going to
in
turn
real time.
into
I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, Sam. And how about some of the
into ice
emergency
rink.
response? Of course, we're glad that there's civilians stepping in to help with the crash. But have you seen TDOT, THP, Clarksville Police out able to assist with these crashes? Or, is it a pretty slow roll as they're able to get to those people?
Yeah, I believe yes to that first part, Megan, where you said it's a slow roll. It's tough for them to get here. I do believe there was Clarksville police up here, up the street. We just saw them. I swear of it. He might have pulled off into this church parking lot where a lot of the cars are now getting off so they don't go down this road. So I believe there was Clarksville police. There is the plow down there. I'm not sure who they're affiliated with, but beyond the Jeep, you can see him, but he can't go anywhere. He can't do his job because all of this is now congested and backed up and packed together on this slippery road that is just way too dangerous to be on unless you're a member of the Jeep crew. But even then, they can get hit as well. So stay inside, and we're going to keep trying to move up and down as safe as we can to tell you what's going on.
Yeah, Sam, thank you. I hope you have a safe time getting out of there. Sam Clementi live in Montgomery County this morning.
Well, I mean, the Jeep crew could help him out. I mean, I've never heard of a Jeep crew before. I mean, that's something new. We learned today that Tennessee has a crew of individuals, civilians, that go out and help individuals who get stuck in the snow. That's really nice. I wish we had that in every state because we don't. But let's keep it moving. We still got more weather to catch on here. So set this up and let's keep watching.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Eric Fisher. Of course, all eyes on our impending winter storm arriving here on Sunday, the biggest in a few years here in the Boston area. So this is where we stand tonight. Snow beginning to form around 10 o'clock in the morning till noon, starting on the lighter side at first, but then it really picks up, and it is just going to pump heavy snowfall during the afternoon and the evening. The heaviest looks to be about 4 in the afternoon to 11 o'clock at night, and that's where at times we'll have rates of 1 to 2 inches or more per hour. So it will really stack up fast. I really wouldn't want to be driving around during the later afternoon and the evening during those heavy rates, as it's difficult for plows to keep up with it at that point. Some mixing is expected deeper into the evening along the south coast toward Cape Cod in particular. Winter storm warnings up across the board. It's an equal opportunity storm, and lots of people dealing with this one everywhere from New Mexico all the way across the south and into the northeast, where you see that purple shading. That's ice storm warnings, freezing rain causing some big issues there. And there you see the storm tonight as it stands. That snow is expanded across Illinois and Indiana. Now arriving in Ohio as well. There you see the ice across the south. Even had some severe thunderstorms done around Houston earlier on today. And there's the Arctic air that has taken control of much of the middle of the nation here. 21 in Dallas. One of the safe spots, South Florida. They're the only ones not participating with this particular storm. So tonight is another cold night. We'll see increasing clouds, mostly lower single digits for overnight lows. Not a ton of wind, so there is a wind chill, but it's not going to be a huge factor. Cold, cloudy morning tomorrow, and then the snow starts to increase as we head closer to lunchtime. This is a look at Boston, and notice as the east breeze picks up, temperatures do start to rise. That will be more of a coastal thing than an interior thing. You can look at the temperatures here as the
look at my area. Look how cold it is.
To increase across the area. Heavier snowfall, those darker blues moving in during the mid-afternoon. The Patriots game, it was coming on down if you're watching at home. There you see the temperature spread, staying in the teens across those interior areas, but we'll be climbing through the 20s and even up around 30 as we get deeper into the night closer to the coast. So what starts as a fluffy snow will start to get heavier, tougher to move. And there's the sleet line. This is going to hug the south coast, Cape Cod, and the islands. It's after a lot of the heavy snowfall, but for those locations, it's going to add weight to the snow that's on the ground, make it harder to move, especially with the warming temperatures as well heading into tomorrow night. So you notice in that part of the state and along the south shore of Boston, it does start to get a little wetter, heavier, a little tougher to move as the night goes on. Now, once we head toward midnight and beyond, some lighter scattered intermittent snow or even a touch of freezing drizzle will be out there. We do expect some areas of snow to fill back in during the day on Monday and not completely wind down until Monday night. And we could see an additional 1 to as much as 4 inches of snow in spots on Monday, and that would be a fluffier snow that starts to develop. So if you look at around the Route 2 corridor, it stays cold the whole time. Dark blue bars, that's your heavier snowfall, and then tapering off during the middle of the night to more of a light and intermittent. Very different scene on the Cape. You get that heavy thump of snow. This would include the south coast as well.
Ice
Temperatures
and then rain,
climb above freezing overnight and into Monday morning, and that's where you also see a little bit of wintry mix. So things will progress differently there. And that's why we have 6 to 12 inches in that part of the state. But most are going to be in that 12 to 20 inch amount. That is a bigger storm for us. Biggest in 4 years around the region.
20 to
where
24.
I do think there's a chance of 2 feet of snow, where I think some of the highest totals will likely be heading into the northern Worcester Hills, southern New Hampshire, Essex County, maybe even into Boston. We'll see how the banding goes with that storm tomorrow night. When it comes to the kind of composition of the snow, that fluff factor, it's those colder interior spots where it stays very light and fluffy. That means 1 inch of water can create 20 inches of snow. And that's where we expect some of those 2 foot totals to be possible. Now, early Monday, we're going to start off around 30 or above freezing near the coastline in the morning. It's still cold in the interior. We will watch that cold crash back east as we head through the day. So temperatures will fall and get very cold as we head into Monday afternoon and Monday evening. The reason we have a chance for some sleet, it doesn't matter what's going on the ground, which is always a confusing thing about ice and sleet. You can be so cold, you're thinking there's no way we'd have mixed precipitation right now. It's just too Arctic air in place to cause that to happen. But it's all about what happens several thousand feet up. If there's a little layer above freezing, your snowflakes melt. And that's kind of game over. As they fall, they get back into the cold and they freeze back into an ice pellet. But the snowflake part of the story ends. So that warmer air can slide up over the top of the colder air that's sitting at ground level. When it comes to confidence here, 3 inches of snow in the Boston area, lock. 6 inches of snow, you can bank that too. 12 inches of snow, pretty good chance. once you get to those higher end totals, we'll watch where the banding sets up. And I do think there will be some high end amounts, just a question of where exactly they are. I do think the northwest side of Boston has the best chance. And after this storm, we will say goodbye to a very quiet stretch. In the last 4 winters, these have been the biggest snowfalls in Boston, the second longest streak on record without a 6-inch snowstorm. And this one certainly should do just that. And a look at the next 7 days. If you're wondering about melting,
we're going to get a couple of more
not much
systems
expected
across the
here.
way.
It is a really cold stretch. In fact, it's our coldest stretch of the winter time, just
Wow,
around
look how
20
cold
on
it's gonna
Tuesday,
be.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Not much precipitation, but just really cold. This is definitely usually humidifier territory over the next 7 days. By next Saturday, we climb back higher into the 20s at least. But this is going to be some deep winter
but
stuff
those
over the next 7. We will keep you updated all weekend here on WBZ and CBS News Boston.
Okay, let's keep it moving.
Life here, Alex. I don't know if you guys show these, but we got to see him as a biker, and we're sort of getting more information in on his life. We know that he's a 37-year-old, and I think that everyone probably wondering
this Waldo?
is there going to be a fair investigation from every angle of
Oh, this is the
what
guy that got
unfolded.
killed?
And I'm sure many people knowing him as an ICU nurse with the VA wanting to know what happened to his life. And as we saw just moments ago, there's many.
Why
many
CBS
more
is painting
questions than
him this
answers,
picture?
and a lot of
Why you don't
questions
get
if
both
there
sides of the
ever
story?
will be answers.
There's a memorial, one organization's plan at 7 o'clock at the site where he lost his life, and then another plan for earlier in Whittier Park. So people are already kind of rallying. And
I mean,
talking
white
about
people are dying and they caring for the white people? Are you kidding me? Before they didn't care about the white men.
We do
remember?
have, before we go to Frankie, I just want to read this that we received. A
Like
short
white
time
men
ago.
don't matter, white people don't matter, but now that they're getting shot, they matter. It doesn't make any
The
sense.
Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus has sent us a statement. We do want to share it with you. It says in part, despite widespread speculation regarding intent, there has been no evidence produced indicating an intent to harm the officers. We're calling for a full and transparent investigation by both state and federal authorities. Every peaceable Minnesotan has the right to keep and bear arms.
Talking about Alex Purdy right
Yes.
there. Yes. So they are saying they do not have any sense of intent.
Well,
Well, they don't know that. It's still under investigation. You can't jump to conclusions.
Some people
How you can have an incident and then
came
rush
out so
to
strongly against any kind
without
of
having
other,
the proper
measures
investigation.
that
That
would be
makes
banning
zero
weapons.
sense.
And this is a group that's actually saying, "Hey, let's not." This is the only group I've heard today that says, "Let's not jump to conclusions."
That's what I've been saying. Oh my god! Like, let's keep it moving.
News out of Minneapolis, where a shooting has taken place. You're looking live at the scene as these pictures begin to roll in. Here are the details. Bill Malusian learned just after 10:15 a.m. about a Border Patrol shooting. Multiple law enforcement sources confirming this to him. It took place at 26th Street East and Nicollet Avenue in Minneapolis. Border Patrol shot someone. CPR was being performed. The individual was on the scene with medics around him, was loaded into an ambulance and taken away. Unclear on his condition this morning. We learned that that individual was armed. There were 2 magazines. We've
Why
obtained
was
a
he armed
picture
with
of
2
the weapon
magazines?
that DHS tells us was on the individual who
You
was
know what I
shot.
mean? Why are you
Governor
carrying a gun
Walz
with 2
since then has
magazines?
come out and said he spoke with the White House.
That's not
He
what
said in
CBS
his words,
said.
after another horrific shooting by federal
CBS
agents this
just said he
morning.
just had a gun.
Minnesota has had it. He said, "This is sickening. The president must end
But
this
they didn't mention
operation."
the 2
Pull the
magazines. Why are
thousands
you going
of
to walk
violent,
around with 2
untrained
magazines?
officers out of Minnesota now, Governor Walz said. With that, let's bring in Nicole Parker. Nicole, as we learn these details, we see the weapon. We're in the very preliminary stages.
People are
Only
dying
sharing the
and now they
details
want to
we
go crazy.
know. What is your analysis with the limited information we have here at 11:50?
That's a key point right there, Kaylee. This is a
Sorry about
limited
white people
analysis
again.
because there's not a lot of
I
information out
didn't
at
get
this
that
point.
memo.
But again, it's very important to note
I don't know
that it
when.
is from the perspective of the agent at the time that the shooting occurred. It is not
Because
Monday
white
morning
people were evil.
quarterbacking. Hindsight
White
is
people were
2020.
like
It is
the scum of the
those
earth,
agents
and
believe
now
that they were in,
they care about
serious
them. I
danger
don't
of
know.
death or serious physical injury, and they believe that that deadly force was justified. And we need to look very closely at the fact that they likely saw the firearm. That's a big red flag when you're a law enforcement officer and you're, the videos that I've seen, very limited, but it appears that they were in close contact with them. If you believe that a subject is grabbing for that weapon and that they could pull it out at any moment and use it and fire it against you, that is going into your, your checklist of things, is deadly force justified? And again, these agents are expected to make split-second decisions. It is between, life or death, action versus reaction, but we will let the full investigation work itself out. I know that there was a question that I believe was asked earlier on, and they asked, was the magazine in the gun? Let's say that the magazine was not in the gun, okay? Just a scenario that might be the case. Frankly, that's irrelevant, because the agent, if they do not know whether or not it is loaded or not, when you are seeing a gun in your face and you're in the scuffle, then you have to, again, assume that is a gun. An appearance of a gun, things of that sort, again, agents are going through their minds check by check. And when Tim Walsh is coming out and saying, based on the quote that you shared, these are violent, untrained officers, with all due respect, having been a federal agent, we are highly trained officers. We go through
they're highly
training.
trained.
We go through these types
That
of
makes zero
scenarios
sense.
over and over and over, to the
Tim
point
Walsh
where
is
you
an
literally have to
untrained
justify
governor.
whether
That's
or
what
not
he
deadly
is.
force would be used in front of a legal panel. So for him to say that they are untrained, I think is highly inaccurate.
reckless.
And again, this is the rhetoric that is causing this problem in the first place.
And Nicole, I asked our team to put on the sound. You can now hear the sound from that video on the streets there. It seems to be peaceful at the moment, but I wanted to play this sound here as we're watching this video, because what Governor Walz said, look, he said he spoke with the White House. We do not have a comment from the White House just yet. We do have details coming in from DHS. But it seems to me, to your point, to talk about violent, untrained officers, to immediately characterize the shooting before the facts come out, it's a peaceful scene right here. But there's no doubt these individuals are hearing what the governor says, hearing what the White House says, and it would be wise to calm tensions rather than elevate them. And it seems the White House outreach was an attempt to do that with Governor Walz, to talk about the facts on the ground.
Correct. And so this is where the problem lies, is that you have these individuals. Why do you think that the Department of Justice is looking into these individuals for potential obstruction? Because they are off making these sorts of comments. They are riling up their constituents. Let the facts speak for themselves. But again, I take high offense to anyone that says that these federal agents are not trained. It is anything but the truth. We are very highly trained, regardless of what agency you're a member of, whether it's FBI, DEA, CBP, very highly trained, probably the best in the country.
Yeah, and Nicole, we're waiting to see if that weapon was loaded. Just one more question for you here. You point out just if the magazines were there and the gun was visible, what is an officer thinking? Because these officers have been rammed with cars. We saw that with ICE. This is Border Patrol. We await to hear what this interaction was, but there was a weapon, it seems to be involved.
Correct. I mean, it appears based on the coverage that you have that there was a weapon recovered at the scene. You see a weapon, you see a gun, automatically you're going again. I keep saying it, but it literally is like a checklist in your mind, and you're expected to make these split-second decisions. When there's a firearm potentially the subject is grabbing for the firearm, has the firearm visible to the agent. And again, it's the agent's perspective. Did they believe that their life was in, some serious injury or physical death, imminent injury or death at the time that they made that decision? But let's look and see. Let's see what the investigation says. I would be curious to know if these CBP officers had body cams on. That's always extremely telling and very helpful for investigations. But what I've learned in these cases, and again, going back to George Floyd days, it always is different than what the media initially is able to show. And there's always multiple angles to it. And that's why it's always very important to withhold judgment until there is a full picture of what actually transpired. And so again, no one wants to use their firearm, Kaylee. When you're an officer, a law enforcement officer of any agency, local, state, federal, the last thing you want to do is have to pull your weapon, because regardless of whether or not the deadly force is justified, the use of lethal force is justified, you know that you are going to go through the highest level of scrutiny. They are going to come after you, your family. I mean, we saw what happened after George Floyd. There were clean shoots happening, and police officers were going to jail for clean shoots. So I can tell you from the perspective of law enforcement, this is a last resort effort if you are using deadly force. And so let's keep everything in mind and leave it up to the professionals to conduct the investigation. And again, keep the constituents as calm as possible. No one wants to have to use their firearm, but if they do, trust me, the first thing they're going to be doing is going to the agent and doing a full investigation and saying, why did you think the deadly force was justified? And you have to legally articulate exactly why you did what you did.
Yes, no doubt about it. Nicole Parker, thank you for your analysis based on the limited set of facts that we have. You're looking live on the ground at Minneapolis, and you can hear, audible kind of chants of protest, peaceful scene right there at the moment. And just to reorient our viewers with the facts we have at the moment, we do not know if that weapon was visible to the Border Patrol agent. We don't know if it was drawn. All we know at the moment is that there was a weapon on the individual who was shot by Border Patrol. There were 2 magazines there as well. You're looking at an image of that. And as we pull back up that live image of Minneapolis, let's also
Why
bring
would
in
he be
Mark
carrying a
Thiessen. Mark
gun?
Thiessen, you're back with us. I wanted to get
He's
back
a
with you
nurse.
because you mentioned Tim Walz's statement,
I
and
think
I
he's an
just read it
ICU
in full.
nurse.
I'm sure
Why
you
would he be
heard it
carrying a
there.
gun?
He said that he spoke with the White House this morning.
I don't
and
get
he
it.
said it's a horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota, have had it. This is sickening. The president must, in this operation, pull the thousands of violent, untrained officers
We're gonna get
out of
rid of
Minnesota.
all these
So he has a very
immigrants.
clear viewpoint early on in this.
That's what they're trying
I
to
also want
do.
remind our viewers
They're
what
trying to get
President
the
Trump
ICE
said
officers
from the
out
White
so they
House
can keep their
this week, the White
immigrants.
House podium. He said,
No.
Renee Good was shot.
Actually,
that was
send
a few
more.
weeks ago. I felt terribly about that.
Send another
I
1,000.
understand both sides of
You know
it.
what?
That
Maybe
is a
send
comment
another
from the
2,000.
White House earlier in the week. We have no fresh comment from the White House now, but it strikes me that kind of sentiment is the sentiment we need now as we await a White House response.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Walz is, there, but for the grace of God goes our vice president. I mean, what to come out and make such a highly charged statement when we don't know so many of the facts is simply outrageous. And the one fact we do know is that the Border Patrol shot someone who was armed. So that's a problem. If that person was an illegal migrant that they were targeting, there's no circumstance under which someone who's in our country illegally should have a gun. So that's a problem. If it was a protester, then it could be because they responded. They've been pouring gasoline on the fire and encouraging these protesters to go and challenge ICE. Everything that the state of Minnesota is doing is putting people in greater danger. If the ICE has to go out into the community and find these people as opposed to taking them when they're being released from prisons in cooperation with local enforcement, then thank God only the person with the gun was shot. Bystanders could have been shot. He could have pulled his weapon and started shooting back, and there could have been a shootout. There's so many possibilities of how this could have gone much worse than it did. And so they're forcing with the sanctuary policies, they're forcing ICE to go out and into the communities to find these criminal aliens, and they're encouraging people to interfere with them. They're not just not cooperating, which is what they should be doing. They are encouraging people to get in their way. Yeah. And so this is a recipe for danger. They are putting protesters' lives at risk. They are putting the illegal migrants who they claim they want to protect. They're putting their lives at risk. They're putting bystanders at risk by everything they're doing. So if anything is dangerous and unlawful, it's what Tim Walz is doing. And there ought to be consequences for how the state of Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis is handling this.
Mark, I want to bring back Nicole Parker here for a moment. Nicole, we just have a few moments here, but it seems to be some smoke is rising. I don't know if these are smoke bombs. It was peaceful when we began to talk, and we noted
peaceful.
that rhetoric really matters now, and calming tensions really matters. What are we seeing on our screens now? What's your analysis of this?
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to keep things calm and, diffuse the tension. Again, Haley, this is not what agents ever want to have happen. It's insulting to hear this governor make it seem like, this is the wild, wild west and this is what they want to be doing. This is not what they want to be doing. They are literally enforcing the laws. These are targeted interactions. These are targeted operations. They are simply doing their job. And again, without the details of who the subject is, whether they were someone that they were arresting, whether they were a bystander or protester, frankly, when you're looking at the deadly force policies, that's completely irrelevant. For them, they are literally looking at what we've gone over and over before. But my piece of advice to anyone in Minneapolis and frankly anywhere in the country, let the law enforcement do their job. If you don't want to run into problems, stay out of the vicinity of law enforcement. Allow them to perform and execute their legal warrants. And if you want to protest, you have that right. Stay out of the way.
If you are a
Oh,
subject
look
of
at
an
she put
arrest
her water in
warrant,
her eyes. Oh,
whether
I
you
can't
think
see
it's
it. You know how
justified or
cold
not,
that
or
is?
whether or not you are okay with it,
It's
it doesn't
cold in
matter. You
Minnesota.
cooperate with law enforcement and you let the legal system work its
Listen,
way through.
fuck
So
around,
again,
find
there's
out.
no reason
Easily.
for anyone to be having these types of issues. And we would approach subjects all the time. Kaylee, I work violent crime. Very few times did we have people resist because they knew when the FBI shows up or a federal agent, they respected law enforcement, and those days seem to be over.
Nicole,
and it's wrong.
Indeed, it is, and we appreciate your analysis as we've monitored all of this breaking news. People
Our
running across
cameraman
the
is
screen,
down.
clearly escalating a little bit there. A 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time media briefing by Mayor Fry, Chief O'Hara, to respond to the shooting. We'll monitor that. That, of course, on your screen is the weapon that the individual had who was shot. In the meantime, our prayers go out to
Look at that
Minneapolis for
weapon.
calm.
Like, look, let's take a moment and look at this weapon. Right? I mean, would you be walking around with this like if you're going to a protest? Like, why would you be carrying a gun if you're going to a protest? It just doesn't. To me, it just makes little sense. It makes little sense. All right, let's keep it moving.
Hey guys, welcome to the
We're
Liberal
Hive
Hive Mind
Mind.
channel, solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, unfortunately, I was right again. My prediction was right on the money. And I'm not saying that to gloat because, it's not exactly a prediction that I'm happy about. But I've been saying this basically all year. Things are going to get worse. Things are going to get crazier. The closer we get to
I've been saying
2026, the more chaotic everything will become. I said very clearly, if you thought the Tesla riots were the worst, if you thought the government shutdown was going to be the last of the craziness, well, you have another thing coming. Democrats will continue to sow chaos up until the day they regain their political power. So, of course, the chaos continues, or rather the chaos escalates here. I mean, holy freaking crap. The situation in Minnesota continues to be completely unhinged and uncontrollable. And that's now led to a situation where an armed rioter met the ultimate faith in an encounter with CBP agents. And of course, you know exactly what the left is going to run with. They're now making the argument that it was an execution in broad daylight, a totally unjustified execution. And of course, the media is going to run with it, just like they did with Renee Good. But obviously, this lethal encounter is only unjustified if you omit all the most important factors, all the surrounding context. It's only unjustified if you cherry pick particular points, like his firearm being removed by one of the agents on scene, and then ignore every other factor. So as per usual, everyone's getting all emotional. Let's try to cut through all that emotion, all the hysteria, and of course, all the partisan gamesmanship. And let's simply analyze the facts here. Let's try to do some common sense analysis. Let me show you guys exactly what I think. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So first off, we have to acknowledge the crux of the left-wing argument. We have to acknowledge what appears to be the case. I've seen multiple video footage, and it does appear as though the individual's firearm was taken by one of the CBP agents on scene.
Empty hand. Try to punch him in the face a few times. That's a handgun.
And this, of course, is what the entire left-wing argument is predicated upon. They took his firearm, therefore, the threat was nullified, and then they just executed him for literally no reason, as if federal officers would just shoot someone without feeling any perceived threat. But, the real world obviously doesn't move in slow motion. And while it appears as though they took the firearm and there was all kinds of time, that obviously wasn't the situation. And when you look at the footage, the time between the shots and the firearm being removed from the suspect is actually less than 1 second. And obviously there was some sort of miscommunication there. The officer who took that weapon off of the suspect didn't make that clear to his colleagues. And so you have less than 1 second where this individual who's resisting arrest, who's being physical with these officers, he was identified to be holding a deadly weapon. It appeared at one point as if he was grabbing something, Agents are yelling gun, 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 and then lethal force was used. It's not as cut and dry as the left is making it seem. These CBP and ICE officers are under immense pressure, and you have people on the streets here who have been radicalized to confront them in these operations, in this case with deadly weapons, being physical
they
with them,
shouldn't be carrying
confronting
guns
them,
with these
obstructing them,
protests like that.
resisting arrest, fighting them off. I mean, what do you think
And
is
you're
going to
gonna
happen in this
interact with
environment?
ICE
You have an
agents having a
unhinged
gun on you?
leftist mob
That's
on the streets
stupid.
going after these officers, not to mention all the noise, the blowing of whistles like crazy. The officers themselves can't hear properly. People are screaming everywhere. They're under attack. How are they expected to be 100% perfect and analyze the entire situation, analyze the threat perfectly in half a freaking second with all of this going on? Again, if you ignore all of that, all of the most important context, and just say the weapon was removed, therefore, then sure, you could come to the conclusion that this was unjustified. But if you have half a brain and if you're honest, you're going to look at the whole picture. And the obvious issue here is the Democrat mob, this chaotic environment that Democrats are enabling. The truth of the matter is that CBP agents should not have to deal with this to begin with. And you also notice that all of this, it's all happening in Minneapolis and Minnesota. Well, that tells you all that you
The
need to
police
know.
were to
We're not
back
seeing this
up
kind of
ICE
chaos
and
happening in
do the
Republican states
operations.
where the governors are actually complying with federal
They could
agents. And we're not even
quell
seeing this in
all
other
this,
Democrat
but
states. No,
they
only in radical Minneapolis, Minnesota,
decide
the
to
same
enhance
place where
it
we saw
more
the
and
George
more.
Floyd
That's crazy.
riots. Yeah, I think the common denominator here is that far leftists and Democrat leaders in the state of Minnesota will enable abject chaos, will continue to cause this chaos and frankly engineer these tragedies because they believe that it's useful to them politically when Donald Trump is in charge. And again, we're stuck in this situation where it's being politicized. You know, we can't actually have a proper debate with the left. We can't analyze these situations at all because for the left, it's a foregone conclusion. And now it's a matter of grasping at straws and trying to find every little argument to further demonize ICE agents and Donald Trump and claim that America is falling to fascism. And one of those arguments is, well, he was a legal gun owner, therefore he had a permit to carry, therefore the shooting was unjustified. What does that even mean? Obviously, that doesn't change anything, whether the firearm was legal or not. And if anything, I think it works against him because if he had a permit, well, that means he was likely trained. And in said firearm training, well, probably the first thing that you're told is to always disclose that you're carrying a weapon to law enforcement. This guy intentionally chose to dress up as a military character, purposely showed up at this riot, and not only showing up, but showing up armed. And he wasn't there to just sit on the side and protest these officers. No, he was getting in their face. He was in the middle of the road. ICE agents aren't playing games with these people anymore. They're pushing them off to the side. And then instead of cooperating while carrying a weapon, he gets in a physical confrontation with these officers and starts fighting them off. I mean, he made multiple stupid decisions that put himself in a very precarious situation that ultimately and unfortunately led to his demise, just like Renee Good. I can't see it any other way. I don't think it matters if he was legally carrying a weapon or not. The criminal act of interfering with federal operations and then getting physical with these agents after they told you to get off the street and to then further escalate the situation, that then puts you in an armed conflict with federal agents. These are not teddy bears, my friends. These are lethal, trained federal agents. And at that moment, whether you're legally carrying or not is frankly irrelevant. I'll be able to give the left one thing. In a perfect world, do I believe that this was a justified shooting? Probably not. But we don't live in a perfect world. And you also have to account this individual's actions. And I think the plausible deniability and the potential explanation for, what was going on in these CBP agents' heads, I think it's pretty clear. There wasn't even a second between the firearm allegedly being removed from his person and what looks like the suspect grabbing something. We could freeze the frame right over here. And again, instead of complying, he seems to get up, his arm towards his waist. And this is happening all within less than a second, as they've already identified that he had a weapon on him. It's hard to tell intent, but again, this is not how you engage with federal officers. They clearly sensed a threat and they handled it accordingly. And also, just because this individual's firearm was taken, who's to say that he didn't have another? When he's been identified as a person who is armed and he is not complying, but rather fighting off officers, when it looks like he's trying to grab something, you don't just assume that he's got nothing. It's possible he had a second firearm. It's possible he had a knife. You don't know as the officer in that situation. And, speaking of variables and factors, it's also possible that the suspect himself wasn't even unaware that his firearm was taken off of his person. When you've got all these hands on you and all these officers trying to constrain you, one officer pulling a gun out of your holster, you probably won't feel it. People get pickpocketed like this all the time in Europe and other places, where someone will bump into you on the left side and then another person pickpockets you from the right. You don't feel the physical sensation because you're getting touched in different locations. Well, who's to say that he wasn't aware that the gun was unholstered and he was going to grab for it and then, oh, it wasn't there? There are so many factors here. And while the left is making the argument that, well, the officer taking his firearm off of his body, that basically immediately means guilt to all law enforcement parties involved, I completely disagree. And I think that actual taking of his gun, in my view, is immaterial here. I think the shooting was justified. And that might be a controversial take. Look, I don't give a crap. I'm even seeing some right-wingers siding with the left here. I just don't see it that way. I saw an individual engaging in multiple crimes, being armed as he was engaging in multiple crimes. He knew that he was armed. He should have told those agents that he was armed. He should have immediately complied, put his hands in the air and said, I have a weapon on my waist. But instead, he did everything in his power to be perceived as a threat. That is 100% on him. It's a sad situation. I get it. It's another tragedy. And to be honest, even though I'm defending it, I don't think this is going to be good for the Trump administration. I don't think this is going to be good for the GOP going into 2026. And I think the Democrats know this. They're doing it on purpose. This is the Democrat 2026 midterm strategy to sow chaos and destruction and pin it all on Donald Trump. They're using their idiotic, radicalized lemmings, purposely putting them in harm's way and then hoping things are going to go sideways, which they can then politicize. And I think a lot of people just get too wrapped up in the emotions to think clearly, to analyze the factors appropriately. Because really think of it. What is the left-wing argument here? What is the left-wing solution? Well, what it appears to be is that this man put himself in a horrible situation. He paid the ultimate price like Renee Good did, and therefore CBP and ICE must stop entirely. This is freaking blackmail. I mean, what is the point here? Stop enforcing immigration law or else we will continue to sow chaos? Simply let illegal aliens completely overthrow the entire country, or Democrat minions will continue to engage in street-level terrorism? You simply cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. I get this is another tragedy, but you can't get wrapped up in one emotional situation and then be led to make a completely irrational decision. And again, the fault in my view lies with this guy going to confront these agents with a deadly frickin' weapon. Am I crazy here? And obviously, the larger fault lies straight at the feet of Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, who continue to enable this stuff. It lies with the Democrat Party, who continues to radicalize their base, sending them on the streets as a mob to attack these ICE agents. It's the left-wing rhetoric that is fueling all of this. It's an intimidation campaign. It's a blackmail campaign. And the solution is not abolishing ICE to allow Democrats to continue with their subversive open borders agenda again. The solution is Democrats doing the right thing and calling off their freaking attack dogs. The Democrats are putting people in harm's way. They're enabling deadly chaos, and all of it would stop if they stopped, if they simply did what every Republican governor is doing. Work with federal law enforcement, call for peace, peaceful protest, sure, but condemn the violence and the obstruction and the chaos. Pull your leftist thugs off the streets in Minnesota, and all of this instantly goes away. It's literally that simple, but unfortunately, people are falling for the fascism narrative. And that, I gotta tell you, in a certain way is really starting to blackpill me. It's obvious what the Democrats are doing. It's also obvious what they're not doing. It's obvious what they should be doing. It's obvious what they're up to. And yet somehow people are falling for it. And I think they're going to be politically rewarded. Although, of course, time will tell. And we'll see if common sense once again enters the room ahead of the midterms. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, let's keep it moving.
Ernesto with the New York Times. Have you activated the National Guard? I noted that Sheriff Witt has requested for additional assistance. Can you tell us whether they're going to be playing a role in keeping the peace?
Yeah. Yes, the answer is yes, we have, as we said last week, and we staged those troops. I'll have General Menke talk about where they're at, and again, use this as an opportunity to stress to Minnesotans the frustration you have. And as you saw this, they killed a man, created chaos, pushed down protesters, threw gas indiscriminately.
Why is he still governor?
And then we're left to clean up. I understand the anger. I understand trying to parse who were the law enforcement on the scene when you got there after a man was killed. It's difficult for the folks who are out there, but I can't stress enough our goal, and I'll have General Menke talk about what the role of these guard troops are in conjunction with the incredible work from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, from mutual aid across, and of course the State Patrol, of trying to get to the point where what we're saying is we can handle this, and Minnesotans can express their First Amendment rights and have our folks on the streets and get these people out of here. And so, John, if you want to talk a little bit, but the answer is yes, there's activity. He can talk to you about numbers.
Listen, here's the shit.
Governor activated different than having them staged.
I ain't dealing with him.
So the question is, what's the National Guard doing right now? So we have, we have been on state active duty for over a week.
What the hell are you gonna do?
So we've had
Not really
soldiers
much,
prepared
because
in the metro area to respond in a much rapid manner than if they were not mobilized. So we have a request from the Hennepin County Sheriff to support them, and that is to help them free up additional resources for other work that they need to do.
The sign language
and we have started coordinating with them this morning on that, and that
I'm
first,
just looking at the person doing the
first area
sign
of support
language,
will be assisting them with
and
the
I'm calling
requirement
sus.
to provide security
That's a sus.
to the Whipple building. So we'll be helping them there. And then we are in parallel planning with other organizations within the state of Minnesota to include the State Patrol, the Minnesota DNR, and other local agencies to render assistance if
Hey,
requested.
friends, remember, don't cheat. Don't trust this motherfucker. Like, listen, you can interpret the sign language all you want. I don't know the sign language, but if I did, I'm pretty sure I came pretty close. All right, let's check out. Ooh, look at this. You see, this is what you call a snowfall. This is 7 feet of snow. This is ridiculous. Look at this. Now, we're not dealing with this. We're only dealing with 2 feet, and we're crying and going crazy. We're literally going crazy with 2 little fucking feet. And yet, you got 7 feet here. Look at the fucking on top of the vehicle. Look at all the ice. Oh my god, look at the smoke that's falling off the vehicle. That looks like a little stag wagon, Scooby-Doo wagon. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, look how high. See, that's what you call a snowfall. Look at this. We're lucky we're not dealing with this shit. This shit right here is crazy. Like, really bad crazy. Let me cut that sound out. But look at the cars. Look. Oh. What the hell's that? There are more cars. Look, they're on top of their cars, digging the car out. See, this is the type of snow that I would say, okay, we're gonna fucking go crazy. This is when I go to the fucking Walmart and I buy like half of Walmart because I know I'm gonna be fucked for at least a week or two with this amount of snow. So this right here is chaos. Okay, this it was to fall here in the United States. I think everyone would shit themselves, but we're not getting this. We're only getting like 2 feet of snow. Look at the. Oh my god! Now that's a real snowstorm. Now that is chaos. But they're handling it pretty well. They're handling it really well. You don't see chaos over there and like, oh my god, they're gonna go get all the food, get all the food, get all the produce, get all the eggs and milk and cheese. Why cheese? But they went after the cheese. It's just really weird times, man, we're living in. Let's see. What else do we got here? Okay. Got a few more, and then we'll be winding down for the show for tonight. Let's see. What is this about? It's cold. It is cold.
The left to a baby boom in the Trump cabinet, but I think a real sort of cultural shift that they see happening in America, where the messages of feminism about don't have a family, kids are a burden, are starting to get rejected. And young people are starting to go, you know what? I want to have a family and I can have a powerful career, just like you see here, Carolyn Levitt, who's now pregnant with her second. Get this. There is a nurse who put online a TikTok video. Her name is Lexi Lawler. And she's a or not, Ellen Levitt having another baby. She says, as a labor and delivery nurse, it gives me great joy to wish Carolyn Levitt a 4th-degree tear. And she went on to say some other crude things about basically hoping that Carolyn Levitt has a very painful and
What a nasty person.
Delivery that causes her lots of future medical problems. This is disgusting stuff, you guys.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a real mental illness, and
It is.
It goes beyond the concept that dudes can get pregnant.
Yeah.
It goes to a very broken heart and a hatred, a level of hatred that, and I guess some of it is probably exacerbated by the fact that this is on TikTok and it's online, and people think that they can just say things and that it has no meaning because it's all like online or whatever. But you have to be a seriously corrupted human to say something like that, especially when you work in an emergency room where you deliver babies. You know what all of the and the specificity
against Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Remember, they were running her out of restaurants, and the vitriol was there. But now, this incident, I love it. It's a level of vitriol that really people need to be widely condemning it, and you're not seeing condemnation of it.
Now, well, she did get fired, but it's definitely troubling. And you're right, Charlie. Something's wrong with that lady's heart, and she should not be in labor and delivery. Nobody wants.
She got fired. That's crazy.
It's not the kind of nerve I have.
Steve Ducey.
And I mean, for your heart.
Gonna say something like that and jeopardize your career, like all the schooling you went to, all like for what? Now you're out of a job. Gonna be what? Sucking up to the government now to get handouts? Like, what a horrible decision she just created for herself, and what a horrible, like, that's what I'm telling you. We live in hell, right? And it's just this special little weird place in hell we're living in. And it's just not getting any better, man. It's just, I don't know, man. What else can I say that we just don't know? We already know. We already know. All right, let's see what we got here. You know what? I want to see this one before. We got like 5 more videos and then we'll be done. This one's a weird one. Let's watch this weird one. I don't know. Let's see.
Of course. Yo, watch your head, buddy.
All videos show.
Like I said, brother, he has antlers, so
Oh shit, there's a deer inside the place. Oh shit, look at the deer. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh, he's a bug. Oh Lord, he's carrying out that place. Oh. It's the sound that's making him crazy. No, officer, better be careful. That deer will come at you. Yeah, those deer's not gonna stop. Oh, look!
Oh,
They got him.
clear a pit.
They're holding him down.
Just move that clear. Yeah.
Oh my God, he trashed the damn place. Like he's pushing him out of the. Trying to get his legs up and throw him out.
What could happen, man? Of course. Yo, watch your head, buddy. Watch your head, brother. It's glass, yeah.
Oh my God.
Like I said, brother, he has antlers, so just a heads up, you know what I
I've
mean?
never seen a deer in a bank and got pissed off and destroyed the bank either. And you know the thing is, they didn't even shoot the deer. It would have been me. I would have shot him because, like, that's like 2 things at one. You're saving the bank and you got dinner. And let me tell you, that could feed a lot of people. Woo. Even the cops are laughing. The cop just grabs him. He just grabs him by the horn.
Clear a pit.
Yo, that buck. You'll never forget this day. It's like, man, I can't tell the other boys what I did today. I broke into a bank. I fucked that shit up. I punched a couple of cops, motherfuckers. He grabbed me by the balls, but like I was able to get the fuck. I was like, get the fuck out of here, and he ran off. That's pretty cool. That was a fucking cool video. That was a cool video. All right, let's see what else we got. What? Oh, back to the weather. We're going back to the weather. Let's see. Let's put this up here. Here we go.
For the storm. Sanitation workers are ready to hit the roads as soon as the snow starts falling. Eyewitness News reporter Lindsay Tuckman is in Prospect Park, Brooklyn. Lindsay.
Joe, it is really cold, I'll tell you that much. And there actually have been a lot of people outside here today. They're probably enjoying the last few hours they have to be outside walking around. But now that it's getting dark, we're seeing less people. The city did confirm that libraries are going to be closed tomorrow. We're in front of the Brooklyn Public Library right now, where people have been going to stay warm today, but that will not be an option here or throughout the city tomorrow. But it has been tough to be outside. Check out this crazy video of the fountain in Bryant Park. It is kind of beautiful, but it is frozen over, showing just how cold it has been. But again, New Yorkers have been out and about today, some even going on runs, which, you know, might be crazy to hear for some people, but also taking their dogs out on walks and grocery shopping and other things like that. But Mayor Mamdani did hold a news conference today to prepare New Yorkers for tomorrow. We're told that there are 2,300 plows at the ready, and they'll start tomorrow after 2 inches of snow falls, which will likely be in the morning. Brining has already begun, and we've already seen some salt being laid down on many roads. The FDNY has increased firefighters. The MTA has activated emergency operations, and a code blue is in effect to help homeless New Yorkers find shelter overnight. Now, this is the first snowstorm of the year, and that's always a test for a new mayor, and that's no different for Mamdani. His ethos ahead of tomorrow is to prepare for the absolute worst and is urging New Yorkers to stay inside. Spoke with some bundled up New Yorkers today reacting to that advice.
We want them to know this is a serious storm. At a minimum, we are looking at 8 to 9 inches of snow. We are prepared for every eventuality, and we ask that everyone do their part so the incredible city workers across the 5 boroughs can do theirs.
They seem really communicative about what was coming and warning people to stay home, because before, like other stuff, haven't had a lot of notice. But I think this time they have given a lot of notice, so we'll see tomorrow.
So what else is happening tomorrow is that we will find out if school will be happening for public school students. It either will be in person in classrooms or remote learning from home. Those are the 2 options that the city has been given constraints from the state mandating a minimum amount of days of school per year. So that may be disappointing news for some, but again, we'll find out before noon tomorrow, so parents can keep that in mind. Live in Prospect Park, Lindsay Tuckman, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, keep it moving.
Let's go right now to former FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate. Craig, I was very excited to speak with you. You were head of Florida Division of Emergency Management. Then you went to FEMA, where you were for 8 years leading FEMA. And in fact, in 2011, I believe it was, you oversaw 87 disaster declarations. I say all that. You're an expert on disasters. Could you put into perspective this storm compared to what you've dealt with in your career?
Well, this storm is really about the ice and the power outages. When you talk about responders, I think, I've dealt with storms like this before. We tend to think of the lights and sirens, folks. This is actually going to be your utility crews and your highway crews plowing and treating roads. They're going to be the primary response in this. And the way we help them is make sure people stay off the roads and stay home, especially in those areas getting ice.
Yeah, and the ice. So from what I understand in my research, when you get to 0.75 inches of ice, 3/4 of an inch ice, that's crippling. We're talking widespread tree damage, long-term power outages. How much of the country is expected to see that?
Well, right now, if you look at the forecast from National Weather Service, it's south of the main part of the snow belt. And it's kind of hard to say definitively, but if you look at where the Weather Service is putting this track, they're forecasting 1/4 inch to almost an inch in some places, which will take down the power system. And that's what they're really trying to get people to focus on. They're using the term catastrophic ice accumulations. So we can expect power outages and trees down, very treacherous almost undrivable condition. Everybody's preparing for this, but the most important thing is for people to stay inside. And again, this is going to be a very hazardous situation, not only during the storm, but immediately after it.
And that term you just used, the catastrophic ice, from what I understand, the National Weather Service doesn't often use that term. It's pretty rare.
Yeah, if you go back and you look, they don't use catastrophic often, but when they are, it's to call attention to how dangerous the situation is. So the public goes, yeah, we've had ice storms before. This is not a before ice storm. This is one that's going to potentially cause power outages over days, if not longer, in the areas that are hardest hit.
And when I'm looking at this map here, I mean, this is a huge swath of the country. It is essentially half the country. And, you know, when you deal with hurricanes that localized, maybe a state, tornadoes likewise, how often do you see a weather system that spans half the country? It seems like there's a lot of unknown in that.
There is, and that's why, you know, the federal government, FEMA, is in contact with the states that are in the path of the storm. FEMA is operating their regional operation centers. There's a lot of stuff going on to support multiple states, and also the different timing as this has started out, you know, the Texas, Oklahoma, and will ultimately be impacting the northeastern states. So this will be a multi-day event. This is really what FEMA, with the regional structures, is built for, is to handle these multiple impacts. And again, what most people will expect, I think, is you know, the heavy snow and extreme cold temperatures. It's difficult, but it's more manageable. It's the ice that we're really concerned about, and how much damage that does to the power system.
You know, Craig, you came up with the Waffle House Index. I was very intrigued reading about this and watching videos of it last night. Can you explain for our viewers what that is and if it's applicable here?
Well, it is applicable, and it's very simple. The Waffle House, especially across the South, where you see a lot of them.
I love Waffle House.
If it's open and full staff, the menu is green.
Last time I went to Waffle House, I was in Louisiana.
It's yellow, and if it's closed because of the storm, it's red. And it's a good indicator of things like power, road access, and the danger. Because Waffle House is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They try to stay open
every
as
day
much as they can to serve their customers. But when
open on Christmas Day too,
that's an area that's seeing significant impacts from the storm.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily.
They're open on Thanksgiving.
Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner.
They're open Christmas. I know I went on Thanksgiving. Let me bring it back to me. Emily Capano. Last time I went to Waffle House when I went down to Louisiana, I went to New Orleans, and I picked up this beautiful mask there. It's a third eye mask, and had a great trip. It was really nice. I did the whole Louisiana feel and had a lot of delicious food. And I was staying in Mississippi, and drove around. Went to Alabama, went to Florida, northern Panhandle of Florida, and then was exploring that whole area of the coast, which was really nice. The Gulf of America is beautiful. I'd say right now, like, I have so many pictures and so much like memories. It's so nice. The water was so beautiful, but cold because it was already November. So it was already starting to get cold. We lucked out. A couple of days was nice and comfortable, the temperatures, but then it started getting cold, and yeah, it was a nice trip. But that was the last time I went to the Waffle House. Was that trip to New Orleans, which is pretty cool. All right, let's see. We're gonna watch a little long form of we're gonna watch Melody King. So let's go ahead and set this up for her. We're gonna watch this together, uninterrupted.
Eugenics is back. Sam Altman and husband fund startup to edit babies' genes. The OpenAI boss has invested in the controversial startup Preventive, which aims to genetically engineer children free from hereditary disease. Sure. But I'm going to give you a little bit of this article, and then I have some videos to show you. So here it is. It says the OpenAI chief executive Sam Altman and his husband are backing a controversial startup exploring the genetic engineering of babies to eliminate hereditary diseases. Preventative says its goal is to correct devastating genetic conditions, and that if successful, gene editing could be one of the most important health breakthroughs of the century. Preventative has raised $30 million from private backers and set up headquarters in San Francisco. It is a public benefit corporation, meaning it is a for-profit entity legally committed to a public good other than maximizing shareholder value. Sure. Altman, his husband, Oliver, and Brian Armstrong, the chief executive of cryptocurrency platform Coinbase, are among the investors. Gene editing in sperm, eggs, and embryo is highly controversial. Opponents says it raises critical ethical questions and its safety has not been proven. Gene editing with the intention of creating a baby is illegal in the US, UK, and many countries around the world. That doesn't stop them. When has the law stopped any of these people? What? Preventative has been searching for a country where embryo editing is legal to conduct tests. Or you could just go to China if you know what they're doing to babies over there. I'm not doing it on this video. I don't want to disturb your day. The Wall Street Journal with the United Arab Emirates mooted. Preventative scientists are said to be working towards creating a child born from an embryo that has been edited to prevent a hereditary disease. The company has reportedly identified a couple with a genetic disease who would be interested in taking part. Mohan, a software developer who married in 2020. Okay, they have an 8-month-old son. I don't care. All right. So this is just going on and on about this. Is very controversial. Let me show you this headline. It may not show up well on here. Let me move it over. But it says genetically engineered babies are banned. Tech titans are trying to make one anyway. Of course they are. Of course. And this is the thing. It is not just they're trying to, get out all of these hereditary defects that are in the genes, guys. It always starts with something to make life better, to help us, to, make sure we're not sick. They care about us being sick. They care about our children being born sick. Where do you think the slippery slope leads? This is how it always starts. And then it always gets to a point. And we're seeing all of this stuff happening at the same time. Now, they're also, outside of just doing this to an embryo and then growing a baby from that, well, they have the ability to edit our genes now. They have that ability. In fact, I did a report, I believe it was 6G, where they can use sound waves now in order to edit our genes. And it also sees through walls and skin. That is what President Trump said about a month ago. So I'm just letting you know if you did not see that report, but understand, I'm going to show you this story. It's about a child who had a genetic defect and they were able to go in and fix his genes. That is the good thing. It's just like with Neuralink. It's helping people who are paraplegic walk again and control things with their mind and do things and live an independent life. It always starts like that, right? We know this. We know it. We know these things. So while those stories are good, there's a reason why Elon Musk said that everyone will have a Neuralink by 2030 and there'll be no more cell phones, and that they're now mass implanting Neuralink. We know that Bill Gates has unveiled the mark of the beast technology, which puts a patch on the skin, inserts quantum dots and a QR code, and they want biometrics and things to be in our body. I have played these videos over and over. They want to be able to control us. Elon Musk calls it collective consciousness, meaning there's no division, no hate, no difference of opinion, but we all have a group think. They said that they can implant memories with it. They can change how you think, change your consciousness. This is along with them saying that religion will be replaced by AI, that the Bible will be replaced by AI. It goes on and on, but take a look at this.
Scientists just performed the world's first gene edit inside a human, and it saved a baby's life. KJ is a 9.5-month-year-old baby boy and was born with a CPS1 deficiency, a rare metabolic disorder caused by an inherited gene mutation, where his liver couldn't process nitrogen from breaking down protein, leading to the buildup of ammonia in his body, which accumulated in the brain and can cause brain damage. The only treatment is a liver transplant, but for such a tiny patient, it would be months before his body could survive the process, and 50% of patients don't make it this long. But a team of researchers suggested another option. They had been working on a CRISPR-based technique called base editing, which can make a targeted single-letter change to a faulty DNA sequence. Within 2 months of KJ's birth and diagnosis, the team had already screened hundreds of base pair editors and selected the best fit for his case. The molecular machinery was loaded into lipid nanoparticles, and 208 days after his birth, KJ received his first infusion. After just the first dose, he could already begin to safely eat protein again, but he still required medication for his ammonia levels. 22 days later, the second dose was administered, and he was able to reduce his medication by 50%. KJ went from the 9th percentile in weight to the 26th percentile. And since the publication, he has received his third and final dose, and his medication is slowly being reduced completely. The team will need to monitor him closely, of course, because it's the first time this has ever been attempted, but they are cautiously hopeful that it will allow KJ to thrive and he will get by with little to no medication as an adult. This is the first time we've ever made these edits in the body, and although this was an ideal case where there was only one base pair that needed fixing, if this works reliably, it opens the door to treating thousands of other genetic conditions the same way, correcting mutations not in a dish or before birth, but inside a living person in real time. Finally,
we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
If you like science and believe that incurable disease is a challenge, not a death sentence, follow for more.
The first fully AI-designed gene editor has arrived, and it's absolutely revolutionizing how we edit human DNA. Here's the problem scientists have been facing for years. CRISPR gene editing was like performing surgery blindfolded with sharp molecular scissors. Scientists know where to cut DNA, but they're basically guessing if it'll work or totally wreck healthy genes. And for years, it was pure trial and error, months of testing with most experiments failing. You cut the wrong spot, you damage healthy DNA, or worse, it barely works at all. Until now, researchers fed a neural network over 80,000 genomes and millions of CRISPR experiments, and the AI model found hidden patterns that scientists had completely missed before. It found that successful guide RNAs, these are the GPS systems that tell CRISPR where to cut, all shared hidden patterns in their DNA letters. And scientists never noticed these patterns before. So the breakthrough? The AI could now predict which guide RNAs would work with 90% accuracy before scientists even tried them, almost completely removing the guesswork. And it gets better. The AI analyzed 55,000 cases where CRISPR accidentally cut the wrong DNA location. It's called the off-target effects. It learned to predict exactly where these mistakes would happen across the entire genome and just skip them. And that's not even the most impressive part of this paper. The researchers created something called Open CRISPR-1. This is the first gene editor designed 100% by artificial intelligence. And when they tested in human cells, it actually worked better than the natural CRISPR systems we've been using for years. And it showed that AI can now predict and optimize base editors. Think of them as molecular pencil erasers that can change single letters in your DNA code without cutting anything. And prime editors that can insert, delete, or replace entire chunks of genetic code with surgical precision. And the applications for this are endless. We're talking about AI-designed personalized gene therapies for individual patients, predicting exactly how their unique genome will respond to certain treatments. This is scary, but it's also really exciting. What do you think? Follow and I'll keep you posted.
Again, it sounds so altruistic. They're going to help us. But notice it's AI. Like AI is now God. They said that they're creating God with AI. This is what Elon Musk has said. They've all said this. This is why now the Genesis mission, where all medical research, scientific research, academia is now coming under AI. There was an executive order signed that removes all regulations in the different states, in every state, so that there were no more regulations on AI. They're building these massive data centers. Like, come on. We can see the writing on the wall. And that's just what we know, what publicly they're putting out. We don't know what is actually happening. You know, most of the stuff that is going on, we're not going to hear about it. It's classified. It's part of the military research. These are the things they're doing. The COVID vaccine, we don't know what we were taking. And now we come to find out all this information later. We don't know the effects or if there was gene manipulation in that. The World Economic Forum admitted and said that COVID-19 was a test run. And then they wanted to see how compliant we are. Tony Blair, who is now on the executive board of peace at the World Economic Forum, said that the government needs a way to control and to track who has a vaccine and who doesn't. And that because they have a lot of vaccines coming out for the upcoming pandemic. Like it was like he tried to correct himself. But it's not just with our, DNA that they're messing with. They're messing with editing the genes of our food, of what we consume. They said now that they can actually put vaccines in food. Guys, they can put it on dental floss.
Yep.
So we don't know where this is. Well, we know where it's all leading. But I want you to think about it for somebody who is not tapped in, somebody who is still in the matrix, somebody who believes the government and believes these things. Imagine with the beast system, with the Antichrist, imagine that he has technology to help people. Remember, he's going to be seen as a savior, as a Messiah, that he's like God, where he can edit genes and he can do these things. And AI is directly tied to this. You got to be thinking about how this is all going to play out.
I don't trust Elon.
Because believe it or not, as I have been telling you guys, we are in the last days. Never in history have we seen these things that are going on around the world, even the weather.
Never did, never will.
We have never seen the things that we are seeing. The technology coming out, the digital ID, they're building the third temple. Everything's ready. They brought legislation here to the U.S., a congresswoman, so that they have permission by the U.S. to build the third temple. I have to do a video breaking down the board and the countries that have accepted are Muslim. That's the end times prophecy. No, it's mostly Muslim countries, guys, because there will be peace and security, peace and safety. With Israel, they're bringing peace, but then sudden destruction will come. And Jesus said, when you hear peace and security, sudden destruction will come. Look up, because he is coming back. That is the time of our redemption, that he is returning. The entire theme of the Board of Peace is peace and security. And that goes with the Abraham Accords. That goes with the Cyrus Accords. All of this is converging at once. It's wild.
CRISPR technology is now being used to genetically edit food in the United States. And the scary thing is that you won't be able to tell the difference at grocery stores or at restaurants, because the USDA does not require it to have a GMO label or any label at all, for that matter. A startup company called Pairwise has CRISPR edited mustard greens that are already being served at restaurants and salads across the US, and they are scheduled to hit grocery stores this summer. So how does it work? CRISPR technology cuts out genes that it doesn't want, and in this case, tweaks the genes of fruits and vegetables by taking out the seeds of blackberries, for example, or removing the pits from cherries, or taking the bitterness out of leafy greens. And fruits and vegetables are just the beginning. Last year, the United States approved CRISPR editing to be done to cows. And although they have successfully bred the first cows, the meat has not yet come to market. The company and the scientists behind this say that they want to alter the food so that it tastes better, so that more people eat healthy. But I, for one, would prefer my food to be natural, organic, and not scientifically altered at all. Let me know what you think down below.
And we already know that they are bioengineering fake meat. Okay. The goal is they are attacking farms, trying to mass get rid of farms, get rid of private farms. Bill Gates, once again, it's always him. They are manufacturing fake meat and butter. They are contracted with schools, hospitals, airlines, and prisons already. Guys, they're also rolling out in restaurants, because just like she said, there's no labeling that's needed into restaurants. And soon it will hit grocery stores. But just to give you an idea, I don't know if you've ever heard of a spider goat Well, they are genetically engineered goats that produce milk containing spider silk proteins. I will not show you the meat as it's ripped apart. And you don't know that it's spider goat because they don't have to label it, even though it is genetically modified meat. The list goes on and on, guys. On and on. We saw with the Campbell soup, that explosion that made people a lot of aware, but most people have just forgotten about it. Gone, it's just gone by the wayside. But there's just so much coming out. It's so much coming at us. That is the plan. They reveal truth to us in bits and drips. Now we're seeing a plethora of it, but by the time you try to catch up on one thing, the next thing. But these are all from Luke 21, the signs of the time. So guys, make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification bell, and I will see you very shortly. Stay away from it. Do not look up spider goat milk meat. Ugh.
Yeah. They genetically manipulating our food and our bread, our everyday, everything that we eat and process. They're trying to modify it and change it supposedly for the better, right? Last time I checked, that was an experiment project, and I am not Frankenstein, bitch. Like, don't be trying crazy shit on me. I don't want to eat no crazy meat. I want to eat fucking real meat. On that bitch from the cow. Moo, bitch. Out the way. Let's check out some news here. More weather. Let's put up the volume. That'll work.
Winter storm. The Northeast is bracing for impact. If you can believe it, there's snow coming. And Fox Weather correspondent Katie Byrne joins us now from the nation's capital. Katie, folks see the Fox Weather logo on the mic and on your sleeve, and they, I'm sure, start chirping. Do they believe that snow is coming to the I-95 corridor?
They definitely, people are a bit panicked out here. So they know that the window is closing to prepare for this storm. A lot of people say, they've been telling me about the snacks they've gotten at the grocery stores where the shelves are empty. And this is all kind of in the process of getting people to speed those preparations up, because officials are warning people to stay off the roads from really tonight through Monday morning. So that's the messaging from the city here as we get into this storm. We've seen conditions and just the vibe outside really quiet down in the last couple hours. The city went under an official snow emergency as of noon today. So that just means no one can park on certain streets. So the plows have the space they need to get rid of the snow once it starts up. But crews actually have already started pre-treating roads as early as Thursday night. They went out with the brining solution. Today they're salting, they say, and then they'll set up with those plows once the snow actually starts coming down. The city's Department of Public Works, they say they have crews out and about. At the height of the storm, they expect to deploy at least 800 employees and more than 300 pieces of equipment to handle the snow. But locals tell me it really doesn't take that much snow to cause some problems here and make conditions really dangerous on some of the hillier sections of the city. So that's what we're hearing from people on the ground outside of Union Station today. We've also heard from people who worry about families who might be experiencing homelessness in these dangerous cold temperatures.
Worried though about the homeless people here and the unhoused, and I really hope that they can find a safe place somewhere warm tonight and over the next couple of days. I was just in the station and somebody was there asking possible unhoused people if they would like to come with him to the station. So I'm really happy that there's somebody looking out for those people right now.
Yeah, DC does say that, well, we know that the city, once they declare a cold alert, which they have right now, they expand the shelter access they have for people who need it. We also know in DC, people here are feeling the coldest temperatures they've felt in 3 years today. That's how cold it is. So the concern is not only the snow that's coming, but after the snow moves out, power outages are going to be possible because we're going into dangerous cold here, well below average for the city for a number of days. And of course, anything left over on the ground could freeze over and weigh down those power lines and tree limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie, there is considerable danger in that. You say that's what it took to finally generate some snow, the coldest air in 3 years. But folks need to be aware of that's lingering beyond all of this. We were looking at the numbers, probably a changeover to sleet by around lunchtime, but 5 to 8 inches of snow in the forecast and even greater totals farther up the I-95 corridor. Katie in D.C. will be checking back in with you as we move through the evening. Thank you.
All right, let's keep it moving.
All right, we take it from there to the Mid-Atlantic. Folks in D.C., they started their preps early, stocking up, clearing out the shelves ahead of this storm. This storm, it means business. Major cities along the East Coast, they're bracing for their biggest winter storm in over a decade. And more than a foot of snow, well, it's set to fall. We're looking at areas from Virginia all the way up into Maine. The thing is, we also have the threat of ice increasing here, too. So for parts of the Mid-Atlantic, this is what we're going to be watching closely. We take you to an area that has been seeing some of those slick conditions. Going through the next couple of hours or so, we'll start to see this snow filter right on in to areas like Baltimore. Quiet for now, but notice how close that snow line's getting over parts of the Mid-Atlantic. D.C. has cloudy conditions everywhere from D.C. up into Boston. We have the cold temperatures that are setting the stage. So all we need is the moisture at this point, and it is on the way. We'll watch it filter on in. We do have a good chunk of the I-95 corridor. That does see a good chance of seeing at least a foot of snow. Sleet's going to start to mix in, so we'll watch that for the Mid-Atlantic, parts of Philadelphia too, within that range that could see some of their totals kind of shaved away or cheated in a bit because of that sleet that's pushing through. But the timing is going to be everything. Next couple of hours, we'll start to see some ground truth of this snow filtering through, and it'll take us right into a good chunk of our Sunday. Sunday morning, a lot of folks will be waking up to fresh snow. Sunday throughout the day, you'll continue with the snow in an area like New York City or Philadelphia. Down towards D.C., as we get into the morning hours, we do see some of that wintry mix pushing in. Richmond, I'm going to watch you very closely as well. You have a good chance of seeing some really thick ice that may lead to some slick conditions. Eventually, this does continue to tail off towards the north.
Virginia's going to be screwed.
None for Boston. So I think Boston's the jackpot.
You live in Virginia?
Totals that we could see kind of move on.
Y'all going to be
and
screwed.
then as we get into our Monday, we start
Plan not to go anywhere for the next 2 days.
But we are left with some really cold temperatures back into the teens and single digits for the rest of the week.
That's going to be crazy if you live in Virginia. The amount of ice that's going to accumulate there, it's going to make things very, very, very dangerous. And yeah, that's what's the dominating news right now, besides the shooting over in Minnesota, which, you know, it's bound to happen if you don't have cooperation within the government. If the government's not, like, the local government is, and the state government is not on your side, I mean, you got little help but to do for yourself, and that's what the federal government is doing. And, you know, maybe some mistakes are being made, yes, but if they would have had the proper help and didn't have all these fucking people around screaming and saying fuck off and get the fuck out and this and this and that, you know, it's hard to communicate when you're having like 100 people screaming at you with whistles and blowing their whistles and with their little microphones and all that good stuff. Like, I would go crazy myself too, and mistakes could happen. You know, put yourself in that predicament, and of course, you know, you're risking for something to happen. But those people up there don't fucking have really common sense. I guess the code has gone into their brain and froze their brains, and they're stuck on stupid. So let's keep it moving. I got another weather and one more video, and we'll be done for the night.
Tonight, the Arctic blast's frigid introduction, slamming the country with snow, sleet, and freezing rain, set to impact more than half of all Americans. In Arkansas, roads littered with jackknife semis and cars skidding off the road. Chaos in Tennessee as crews rescue stranded drivers. At least 17 states declaring a state of emergency as 196 million Americans from Arizona to New England are under winter weather alerts. This morning, wind chills crashing to the negative 20s and 30s across the plains and upper Midwest. In hard-hit North Texas, we saw highways typically packed with traffic nearly empty as Texans stay home. For those who can't, volunteers run life-saving warming centers.
It is deadly cold out, and it's going to get even colder.
Serving nearly 1,000 people with a warm meal and a place to ride out the storm. What are the greatest needs you're seeing from people as they come in?
So people are coming in real cold, and thankfully the building is a warm place. People are hungry, so we're trying to get as much food as possible to them.
Farther north in Oklahoma City, people could get snow they haven't seen in years. Candace Sweat from our Dallas station is there.
The state of Oklahoma blanketed in snow today. People ventured out for tools they desperately needed. We even spoke to a man who snagged the very last shovel for his house. How lucky did you feel?
Lucky. The storm is a shock to the system for the South.
I'll touch you.
To handle the worst of winter.
Four times the amount.
The roadways, they're starting to cover back over.
This Transportation Nerve Center in Tennessee watches the roads. Kathy Park is there.
How do residents typically react when there is winter weather moving this way?
It's a snow apocalypse, basically. It's mayhem. It's panic mode around here, but we always end up surviving and working together and cooperating as a community. And that's what we expect during this storm, too.
Thousands of power outages reported in Texas, Louisiana, and New Mexico. George Solis is tracking them from North Carolina.
A massive mobilization of resources has been deployed. Utility Duke Energy has more than 18,000 workers at the ready at sites just like this one, as everyone braces for an ice storm not seen in 2 decades.
Officials continuing to urge, staying safe means staying home.
Not only does staying off the roads ensure your safety, it ensures everybody's safety.
Ryan joins me now from Dallas. And Ryan, that city is basically coated with snow and ice now.
Look at this, Jose. The sleet and the snow coming down over Dallas today is starting to stack up. This is a rare sight for here in North Texas, and we're supposed to be below freezing through Tuesday, which means these slick conditions aren't going anywhere anytime soon, Jose.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay up.
Yeah, I mean, you're screwed out there. Like all of us, we know we're going through it. It has not started here yet. I'm in the Northeast. I'm in Connecticut, so it's just fucking cold. It's cold. Look how I'm dressed. Like the cold is so cold that the cold is going through the window and it's coming in. It doesn't matter how much heat I have. I have the damn heater at 90. Okay, right now in the room, it's about. Can't really see from here. I'm pretty sure it's about 59, maybe 60. You know, it can actually, before I turn on the candles, it was like 56 in here. It felt like a fucking freezer. And that's because it's so windy and the wind is just pushing through and we're still getting cold. And I turn on a lot of candles. As you can see, all my candles are on. Ooh, it's like a little heater, you know? So I have tea light candles all lit up. And from here, back there, there's some lit up back there. And it keeps the area nice and warm, and I could feel the room warmer. That's why I've been having more candles for the show. It's not only for the show, but it's for keep me warm. Nah, I like it for the show too. I love candles. I've always loved candles, and I love fire. I think it's without it, there wouldn't be life. It takes two to make a thing go right. Yep. Anyhow, we're here for the last show of the night. So we have this one from Tyson de la Cruz. So let's set up and watch and enjoy.
An activist who led an anti-immigration enforcement protest that disrupted a Minnesota church service has been arrested.
America, the zero accountability era in Minnesota just hit a brick wall. The Department of Justice arrested 3 people who stormed a church service in St. Paul, and they're not charging them with simple trespassing. They're using the FACE Act and the Ku Klux Klan Act to prosecute these so-called activists.
So far, we have arrested Nakima Levy-Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinator of the church
But here's the beautiful irony. Weapons are being turned on the mob that thought that they can invade a house of worship with impunity.
Several dozen protesters disrupted the service, screaming at members of the congregation.
And the quote-unquote woke farmer, Billy Kelly, just found out Fed show up in 2026. They're not bringing a diversity and inclusion seminar. They're bringing handcuffs. What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. The DOJ isn't just charging these people with trespassing. They're using a heavy-hitting federal statute originally designed to protect the most vulnerable people from organized terror. Willie Kelly, the gentleman with the beanie, the beard, and the Biggie shirt, is being charged under 18 U.S.C. 248. That's the FACE Act, the Freedom of Access to Clinical Entry Act. For years, the left used this law to arrest grandmas who were praying outside. Now it's church from a screaming anti-ICE mob.
And according to Noam, Armstrong is in custody under a federal civil rights charge.
Nakima led Blue Class activist for suppressing people's right to worship.
Local activist and attorney Nakima Levy Armstrong was arrested by federal officers for, they say, leading the protest at City's Church in St. Paul.
The irony here is so thick it can be cut with a knife. These are the exact same legal weapons that Democrats used against anti-pro-lifers for decades. Now they're being deployed to protect religious liberty from left-wing mobs.
Second person arrested we know of, Lisa Allen. All we know is she's listed online as a member of the St. Paul School Board.
Yes, you heard that right. A sitting school board member is being charged with conspiracy to deprive rights. This just shows how deep the rot goes in Blue City leadership. The people running your schools, the people running schools think it's acceptable to storm churches. Now let's talk about Don Lemon, that particular situation, because this is where things kind of get interesting. A federal judge, quote unquote, refused to sign off on charges against Don Lemon, but I don't think for a second that means that he's off the hook. Lemon claims that he was there as a journalist just reporting on the protest. His interviews and cell phone video were part of quote unquote journalism, whatever that is to him. So he's technically protected by the freedom of press. But here's Pam Bondi's argument. If you're embedded with the group that executes clandestine operations to disrupt religious ceremony, you aren't quote unquote an observer. You're a logistic participant.
I don't.
And Democrat Congresswoman like Adalita Gabriela saying that the church invasion wasn't a step too far. It shows this was a coordinated political operation, not spontaneous journalism. And here's what most people don't understand. A judge refusal to sign off on charges isn't quote unquote the end of the road here. Bondi can and likely will take it to the grand jury. Bypass the judge's blockade. Grand juries can indict without a judge's approval.
The danger for the people she's talking about, Waltz Friday, choose to believe her or not, it comes down to will a grand jury, or ultimately, if it goes to trial, a petit jury, a jury of her peers, 12 people, potentially believing her testimony relative to these other people. But when you have somebody like this that was on the inside, we always called it in intelligence a pointer. As you ferret through a mountain of stuff, if you have a quote unquote pointer to say, no, forget about that, look over here, saves you a lot of time. It helps focus the investigation.
So Don Lemon might be thinking that he's dodging a particular bullet here, but this investigation is obviously just getting started. And when federal prosecutors start looking in the communications, the funding sources, the coordination, a lot of people are going to have some very uncomfortable conversations. Now, let me ask you a question that nobody in the media, or hardly anybody in the media, seems to want to touch. How does the quote-unquote woke farmer, Willie Kelly, fly from coast to coast, stay in hotels, and spend every day screaming at people without a 9-to-5 job?
I mean, what we're seeing around this country is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them.
They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that.
This guy shows up at every major protest across the country. He's got professional camera equipment. He's coordinating with other actors. We've been diving into the dark money of these anti-ICE protests, and investigators are reportedly also looking into funding infrastructure behind these quote-unquote spontaneous church invasions. Because here's what we're really looking at: a potential RICO-style enterprise where protests are actually a paid disruption service designed to destabilize communities.
Anybody who's ever seen a mafia movie knows that.
It seems like a weak defense. I kept asking, they kept giving, and it's their fault, not mine.
She's not getting out of that.
The goal of this investigation is obviously to follow the money through the nonprofits back to the organizers, find out who's paying who for these operations, identify the coordination between different groups, and potentially bring these RICO charges against the entire network. Because when you've got the same people showing up in protest in Minnesota, then in Arizona, California, then a few weeks later somewhere else, that, my friends, is not grassroots activism. That is organized crime disguised as social justice. I've got to say, honestly, I love that President Trump and the administration are openly protecting Christianity and speaking out unapologetically. For years under the Biden administration, we watched churches get firebombed, pregnancy centers get vandalized, and pro-life activists get arrested while the DOJ did absolutely nothing.
Secretary Kristi Noem with the Department of Homeland Security posting, she said Homeland Security investigators and FBI agents arrested Nekima Levi Armstrong.
Secretary Kristi Noem said it perfectly. There is no First Amendment right to obstructing somebody's practice to their religion. The First Amendment protects your right to worship, not the mob's right to disrupt your worship. The attorney for Cityscape Church released a powerful statement. The First Amendment right does not allow premeditated plots or coordinated actions to violate or disrupt worship. And that, my friends, is the key. These weren't spontaneous protests. This was a premeditated plot to invade a church and terrorize families. That's why federal charges are appropriate here. Vice President J.D. Vance was in Minnesota, and he made it crystal clear what's going to happen to people who attack churches and intimidate families.
They're scaring little kids who are there to worship God on a Sunday morning. Those people are going to be sent to prison so long as we have the power to do so.
And Vance isn't just talking here. There are 3,000 federal agents deployed to Minnesota right now. The Minneapolis experiment of letting mobs rule is officially over. This isn't just about one church. Obviously, this is a national security issue here.
One of the things we've asked Governor Walz for and Mayor Fry is to give us just the criminals you have in jail. They've released 490 murderers and rapists and drug traffickers onto their streets.
Secretary Kristi Noem revealed that Walz and Frey had 490 violent criminals in custody, murderers, rapists, drug traffickers, and instead of handing them over to ICE for deportation, they released them back into Minnesota streets. That, my friends, is the kind of leadership that enables church invasions. The bottom line here is when you storm a church in 2026, you aren't a quote-unquote peaceful protester. You're a piece of crap. Now, let's quickly jump into Amy Bach, the alleged ringleader of Minnesota's $250 million welfare fraud scheme, because she's sitting in prison right now and she's spilling all the beans on everybody who knew about the scam.
I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware.
Bach told Fox News from behind prison bars, I have to believe that the governor's office and Ellison's office were aware of all of this. They said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware. Sounds to me like Amy ain't going down without taking some folks with her. And when you're facing 30 years in federal prison, you just start getting really honest about who knew about what and how.
It all went through a process. They were all approved. They were all paid by the state, yet all the fingers are being pointed at me.
Bach's defense is basically the state approved of all these businesses. The state paid all these claims. I didn't do it alone. The government was complicit in every step of the way.
Whistleblowers told a congressional committee Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison there ignored warnings for years as millions of dollars and millions were stolen on their watch. Congress is investigating a long list of massive fraud schemes in the state.
The total fraud in Minnesota has led to at least $9 billion in losses. And that counter is still counting.
Congress also asking why the attorney general there would meet with a group of Somali fraudsters, which were under FBI investigation in 2021. The group can be heard in an audio clip given to us by Bach's lawyer, offering to donate to his campaign if he can help them get their funding flowing again.
So you've got the state's top law enforcement official meeting with people under FBI investigation who are offering him campaign donations in exchange for keeping the fraud money flowing. That's not incompetence. That is corruption. America, we're witnessing a historic pivot where the very laws used to target pro-lifers are now being turned against a mob who thought they could invade churches with impunity. The FACE Act and the KKK Act, weapons Democrats used for decades, are now protecting religious liberties from left-wing activists. 3 arrests have been made. Don Lemon is still under investigation despite a judge refusal. Federal prosecutors are following the money trail behind professional protesters. And Amy Bach is naming names from a prison cell implicating Walsh and Ellison in $9 billion worth of fraud. The Trump administration openly defending Christianity, deploying 3,000 federal agents to Minnesota and making it clear, attack a church, you go to federal prison. The zero accountability era is over. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, President. Great upload. As usual, like, piss me the fuck off. I think I watched Tyson just to get mad. I have a great, we have great relationship talking. We come on here on Thursdays and we talk. We have good times when he can come on. And man, his videos, when he puts it up, I want to take out some of that anger I have inside. It's like, my goodness, this world is crazy. And it continues to get crazy. And I thought I was going to end with Tyson, but I think I want to end with Liberal Hive Mind. Just because I think it kind of, because of what has happened today in Minnesota with the shooting and so forth. And there's just a lot of shit going on. And we want to get the truth out, you know? It's just like, I can't come to a conclusion just by the aftermath and then have everyone go crazy based on the aftermath without seeing the whole thing. You know, you have to see everything from the beginning to the end. Like, what happened before the incident happened? Why did this person go to the, like how did he get into ISIS hands to put himself in that predicament? You know, so it's like a domino effect, but I need to see where the first domino landed. I don't want to see when all the dominoes have like fallen and then you want me to come to a conclusion at the end. It's like, okay, so what happened? I'm like, and then you want me to come out with this energy, fuck guys, get out, get out. You know, it doesn't make any sense. You're in America. Last time I checked, Minnesota is part of America. So these federal agents has every single little right to be there. And if you don't like it, that is your problem. If it was me, if I was Trump, listen, we could get some water cannons. Well, I know the military has some water cannons. I know you could throw water at these people that they're either going to have to make a decision, get out of the area, or suffer from hypothermia, maybe some frostbite, and you're fucked. You know, end up in the hospital, lose a leg. Oh well, shouldn't have been there. Right? I mean, it's gonna come to that. That decision is non-lethal, but lethal if you make the wrong decision. And it's based on your decision whether you get the fuck out or you stay out and you end up getting hypothermia. Like, that's it. No more games. But let's check out this last video, which is Liberal Hive Mind. Let's go.
Guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. All right, so we got a bunch of information dropping here. Obviously, there's so many different camera angles. Most people have been looking at the most popular clips that have been circulating online and immediately jumping to conclusions, mostly partisan conclusions. But I'm personally really not interested in that. And what I want to keep doing is analyzing all the different factors, analyzing all the different clips. I got some really interesting theories and clips to show you guys here. Let's continue analyzing from all different angles, starting off with the most wild theory yet, which I'm not exactly sure is credible. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so we've got an X post here. This is from the account Finance Lancelot. And he says it's clear now what happened. The ICE agent, I believe it's a CBP agent, had disarmed the suspect who appeared to be nonviolent. At 35 seconds, accidentally discharged the suspect's weapon, prompting the other officers to open for lack of communication. We've got to avoid the graphic content, but we can play at the 35-second time mark, and then I'll explain the theory. So you see at this moment, he takes the weapon out of the suspect's holster and then appears to kind of like whip his arm around. And what these people are theorizing is that as he was doing this motion, the suspect's firearm had an accidental discharge. The other agents surrounding, of course, already identifying that the individual was armed, then react to that alleged shot, instinctively, of course, and fire on the suspect. And now this theory, let's just say I'm not exactly buying it. I know a lot of people are in the comments section saying that this particular 9mm pistol is known for misfiring, but just analyzing visually, it doesn't seem like the gun fired. I also don't see any bullet impact on the concrete, as the weapon was aimed directly down on the road.
But they would know it was fire.
I think it's probably more likely that one of the CBP agents involved here, as all the chaos was going on about this individual having a firearm, he shot defensively, perceiving a threat based on the suspect's movement. And then after that first shot rang, the rest simply followed instinctively. And now, of course, we have to analyze the rationale. The next question that arises is, what was the officer's intent? If you listen to the left, they're quick to paint the CBP officer as an evil Gestapo stormtrooper, and it was a simple execution, a murder. The protester was on the ground. He posed no threat. He was unarmed, and all the agents knew it, and he just decided to execute him. Now, this, of course, I think is completely bogus. First off, the notion that he was an unarmed, innocent man that was simply lying down on the ground, this is obvious nonsense. We've seen multiple angles of the video where it seems to suggest that he was fighting with these officers, and at one point, he pops up and his arms are moving all over the place. So from the officer's standpoint, you can very easily conclude that they thought he was armed and they were simply reacting to his movement. That's my perception, at least, and I think it's backed up here. I don't think you could make the argument that they were shooting a person that they knew was unarmed, especially not when you see new video footage like this. This just dropped.
I need scissors. I need someone to cut this shit.
Now, this, of course, proves a couple things. The left is hyperfixated on the fact that they were searching for a weapon, but it wasn't on him, and therefore he was unarmed, and that makes this an unjustified shooting. I'm not going to argue that he didn't have the weapon on him, and you even hear the officer who disarmed the individual speaking aloud at the back where he says, "I have the gun." The left wants to focus on that, but I'm actually viewing this from a different angle. That basically shows the officer intent. This wasn't a public execution. This isn't Donald Trump's Nazi Gestapo force murdering dissenters and peaceful protesters. They were under the impression that he was armed and that he was going for the gun, and in that heightened threat situation, one officer felt compelled to act. There was obviously a perception of threat here. Now, whether it was 100% the proper assessment in that hectic situation, that's a different conversation to be had with 2020 vision. But there was obviously a physical threat here. There was resistance, confusion, and it was all revolving around that firearm. Christy Noem seems to back that up.
Secretary, you just made claims that the individual posed a threat to law enforcement.
That is no claim. It is the facts. The facts of this situation. This individual showed up to a law enforcement operation with a weapon and dozens of rounds of ammunition. He wasn't there to peacefully protest. He was there to perpetuate violence. And he was asked to show up and to continue to resist by a governor who's irresponsible and has a long history of corruption and lying. And we won't stand for it anymore. These law enforcement officers take an oath. They get up every single day and they go out to protect the public.
Absolutely. And, she isn't wrong, especially relating to this individual showing up armed. First of all, I'm seeing a lot of people point to the fact that, he's
why
a
would you go
licensed
armed?
firearm owner. Well, I don't think that's the cop-out that Democrats think it is. First of all, if you're licensed to carry, it's actually stated in the law that you're supposed to have a certain identification on you while carrying that weapon. This is the law in Minnesota. I'll read it right here. Minnesota requires a permit to carry a pistol to carry a handgun, open or concealed in public. Both are legal with permit. The permit is a physical card issued by the county sheriff. You must have your permit card with you when carrying a firearm. But this individual showed up with a weapon with 2 packed magazines, and as we understand, according to the feds, he had no identification on him. This is not just an innocent bystander carrying a weapon. This is a person who is following the Antifa playbook of showing up to these riots, not bringing identification while concealing a firearm and getting in a physical confrontation as he attempts to obstruct federal officers. And of course, like I mentioned in the last video, the first thing you are trained to do as a licensed gun owner, especially if you're licensed to conceal carry, when you are in an encounter with an officer of the law, the first thing that you are supposed to do is identify the fact that you have a legal firearm that you are licensed to carry. Again, you raise your hand and say, I have a weapon. I'm not resisting. I'm not here to cause trouble. Fundamentally, this individual did everything wrong. So you have a person who engaged in what appears to be multiple crimes, multiple felonies, and then did everything in his power to create a situation that was perceived as a risk from these CBP agents. And we're simply supposed to ignore all of that and just run with what the Democrat narrative is right now. That this was a public execution. I'm sorry, but that is absurd. It may not be the perfect use of lethal force, but the perception, I think, is clear here. The gun was taken at the same time as the first shot was fired. There was a perception that this individual was a threat. He was fighting with them. He was armed. He was not complying. It appeared as though he was searching for something or attempting to grab something. His hands were moving all over the place, which is, the main reason why you're supposed to, during a traffic stop, put your hands on the steering wheel. You don't want to create that perception of a threat. You don't go and grab a cell phone out of your pocket. And then we have the video that shows the agents after he was shot. They're all saying, where's the gun? Where's the gun? That basically confirms that they didn't know that he was disarmed. These are the facts as we know them. This is a very fluid situation. And you know what? It tells you all that you need to know. Before analyzing any of this, the left already jumps to their preordained conclusion. They were just waiting for something like this. They were just waiting to get the green light to take to the streets and further cause chaos. And of course, ultimately to do the Democrats' bidding. I mean, look at this Tim Wall post. He says, I just spoke with the White House after another horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota has had it. This is sickening. The president must end this operation, pull the thousands of violent, untrained officers out of Minnesota now. They're setting a narrative without the facts, because it's purely political. They just don't want the scrutiny. They don't want the attention. They want to continue on without federal oversight, without having to enforce and obey federal law. They want to continue enabling, pushing their illegal immigration agenda, and they want to use this as the premise. They want to take this tragic situation, craft the narrative, and then use that as an argument to stop the federal government from enforcing immigration law. They want to protect their little illegal immigration racket that's going on here, and probably also avoid scrutiny on all the fraud that's being uncovered. It's as clear as day. All the facts relating to the shooting aren't, but the Democrat intent, it's purely clear. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, and that is it for the show. I am done. I'm going to try to get an early sleep. Tomorrow's going to be one heck of a day. I will be maybe going in and out and checking out the snow, see how much snow is coming down, take some pictures. I'll definitely take some before and after. I'll probably take a little picture out there now, a little before, and then we'll see after. It's a nice little event that's going on, It's winter. I always wanted something like this. I like these snowstorms. It's like, to me, it makes everything pretty. It covers all the blemishes of the city, and it makes everything just one color, white. And the fact that a lot of white people are being killed by ICE agents, right? I wonder why the black people and all these other people are not happy that the white people are dying. Like, help me make it make sense. Why they're not celebrating? Oh my god, all the white people are dying! Yeah, wait a minute, but it's ICE. Oh no, we can't celebrate that, can we? No, let's just protest. That's how we'll take our celebration. We'll go out there and protest, and we'll protest harder than ever before. Like what? Okay, let's do it. Here's your money. Here's $100, $100, and now go out there with these signs and wreak havoc. Nope, that's what's going on. Anyhow, I'll be back on tomorrow for a little winter wonderland event that I'm so happily participating unwillingly, but the system is coming this way. Snowstorms coming this way. Like I said, maybe 2 feet of snow. I'm thinking, it could be 20 to they're saying 20 to 24 inches. Maybe 20 inches is fair, but I live in the valley, so we probably end up getting a little bit more. Maybe 2 feet, maybe. I got the measuring stick there. I got my measuring stick there, and I'm ready to go out there and see how much snow we get. I'll go to the park and just stick it and see how much we get. And we'll call it from there because this is something, and this, the this is the thing that the media is not really talking about. This is not the only system that's coming out this way. Okay, there's more systems that are going to be coming and wreaking havoc. So they're just putting all their energy on this one, but there's going to be a lot more to come. February is going to be one hell of a busy month with snow, so, and a lot of ice. So, without further ado, guys, continue to have a great weekend. It's Saturday. What else can you do? Enjoy life. Sit back, watch a movie, watch a show, do whatever you want to do. Hey, it's up to you. It's my mind over your matter, and have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch you on the flip side. I'll be back on tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what time I will come on. Maybe I'll come on early because like the snow's not supposed to start until about 8-9 o'clock ish. So maybe I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. How about if whenever I get bored, because I'm probably gonna watch the football game too, and that starts at 3 o'clock, and there's another one at 6:30. So maybe I'll just come on and do an early show, and then I'll do a late show. So I'll do 2 shows. Damn, that'll be sweet. All right, guys, have a good one. See you later. Peace.